Notice is hereby given of a workshop of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 8th day of December 2018, at the hour of 8 a.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the district on December 4th, 2018, at 12 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551041, 551050. We do have the presence of a quorum. We do have all the board members present at this time. Item 2, if we can please have everyone stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
We're missing Alex.
Oh, excuse me. Who's over there?
Oh, here.
It's her, but no Alex.
Alex.
Oh,
At this time, we're missing Alex
He's not
Avalos.
gonna make it. He's not gonna make
Okay.
it.
Correction, we are missing Alex Avalos at this time.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you again for another opportunity, Lord, to come together and work with staff and board members, Lord, and that we accomplish our goals of long-term CIPs, which are capital improvement plans, Lord, that you help us understand everything that we're doing today and give us knowledge and wisdom, Lord, to continue doing the district's business and the best that we can, and saving money and doing the best that we can as stewards, Lord, to the district. And we thank you again for this opportunity, and bless everyone that's here today. And thank you for this food that we're having this morning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item 3, consider and discuss the pay rate increase with the cost of living, also known as COLA.
Yes, good morning. The board had indicated that they were willing to give the staff a pay increase, and we mentioned that there would probably need to be a study, and it was suggested that we do an in-house study rather than spend $35,000 for a study that would take several months. So with the help of Ms. Gamboa, our Human Resource Director, she was able to get some information in which we compiled this and compared basically the titles with a pay scale. We didn't get a whole lot of information. We got Public Utility Board was basically the only one that sent us the information as we requested it, which was the titles with their pay scale. So we were able to do a little bit better comparison with PUB, and we had City of McAllen. They provided some of their information, and Harlingen Waterworks. The others, unfortunately, Corpus Christi, they sent us some information as well, and we did as best we can as far as comparing
Looks like fun to me.
titles, positions, as we saw it. And in almost every case, there was a big disparity between the LMWD staff rates and the rates between especially PUB and City of McAllen, Harlingen Waterworks. So we're asking the board to consider this unless they want to go into a full study, which would take several months.
And one other thing, at this time, I'd like to introduce our staff here so y'all can be familiar.
Thank you.
There's 9 departments that we have, and we have Jimmy Fierro with the electrician department. These are managers in charge of the department. And we have Bart Perez, mechanics for the vehicles. Then Tavo Ochoa, he's a supervisor for the construction management, maintenance that goes on. I don't know who else is missing there, but we have HR, Mary Gamboa. She's done a good job on this part of the request. Noe Cantu, the water treatment plant manager, and he's been doing a lot of the work for for staff here on the CIP to put things together. He's getting his internship here with a district. He's looking into the degree of management, I guess,
Management.
huh?
Management.
Management, yeah. But here, as staff, we took that to our advantage to help us and put this, and he gets credit for that. And as a water treatment plant manager, there's a lot going on over there also besides the CAP that he's working on. And then next to him is Mark Garza. He's our wastewater treatment plant manager. He's taking care of odor controls and all of that that goes in there. Yes, and wastewater treatment. Jared Martinez, he's a lab manager, laboratory. There's a lot of laboratory stuff that goes on, testing the wastewater side. Joel Lopez, distribution for the water side, the water lines, and repairs and everything that goes with the water distribution. And then Enrique Samaniego, he's our I guess, purchasing agent, and he does a lot of the purchases for everybody. And our finance director, Eddie Salazar, he just came in on board about 7 months ago, or less, going on 7 months. And then Charles Ortiz, our engineer, and then Robert Gomez, our director of operations, and then myself. I think there might be 2 chairs missing there. Joey Salinas, he's been out at that manhole repair, so he might be in a little later. So he's the collection side on the sewer side, sewer lines, installations, repairs, and everything that goes on, sewer backups. Julio was maybe Daisy. I think Daisy was right next to our secretary. She's upstairs putting the packet together for our next meeting. We've been pretty busy all week, so she'll finish today. Before you leave, you will get a packet for the following week. And that's all we have for right now. I wanted to just make sure that we introduce all the department managers. And
For the benefit of the new board members, I would just like to add that all the managers are on a weekly rotation basis after work until 8 o'clock the next day. And along with them are staff that are non-exempt that go out and help for whatever calls that we get at night. They go out there and take care of them at any time of the night.
And I'd also like to welcome the new board, and I'd like to add the tenure and longevity of our staff board, of our staff that's been here. There's a lot of years with a lot of people sitting in front of us that have been with the district for their dedication and hard work. So I'd like to move forward.
Mr. Avalos also mentioned to me a few things that he wanted to present, but he wasn't able to make it. But I can bring it up, and then I believe we can bring up some of those questions answered by next Wednesday when we come back and talk about the CIP again, and the pay increase. So you all have to think about it between now and next Wednesday, see what you all think about the increase. And if you all have any more questions, bring them up, and then we'll look into it and we'll find the answer to it and bring them to the board meeting. That way we can have everything together, compiled questions and answers. But the questions that he had is, what is the average tenure of employees that have left the district? Then number 2 is looks like wastewater operators is where we are not competitive. Will increase the levels of training help or turnover or hurt turnover. And then it says other non-licensed departments are not far off the pay scale. And then number 3 says consider dome for clear well cover, which we already did. We're working on it. So anyhow, the other one is how many pumps at the river pump station, and then did we replace a pump at the river in 2018? What is the condition of the others? And these are questions that will be brought about, and it all goes with with the pay increase and everything else that comes with a CIP included in there. But I guess we'll bring all those answers back, and if there's any more questions, bring them up. That way we can discuss them and talk about them on Wednesday's meeting. Because these pay increase and then the CIP information will be brought back to the regular board meeting next Wednesday, see what the board wants to approve. and see
What is the federal CIP, cost of living increase? The feds set a level also.
Oh, we didn't get information on that one. I didn't get it.
No, I don't.
That's
What I-
Bring it back.
That's how they judge Medicare, Social Security, payment distributions.
The little bit that I did Google, as far as CIP on the internet was anywhere from 1.5% to 2.6, 2.7%.
And we have Joey Salinas here back, so. Okay, you can look it up, or that's what.
Yeah, that's what when I looked up the CIP cost of living.
Yeah, which is more or less the rate of inflation.
Right.
About 3%.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, adjust annually, but
Yeah,
yes.
it's not three. When was the last time that we had a cost of living adjustment?
In 2011,
So how hard would it be for somebody to grab the list of the federal cost of living adjustments over the last 7 years? Pull that together so we can see it.
Yeah, that's definitely a report that I could get for you.
It'd be great. Yeah, I guess I could get it too, go online, I'm sure it's.
Yeah, it's
readily
available online, yeah.
But Would just love to see it, I think it should be part of the record. But I think it helps substantiates a cost of living adjustment higher.
the cost of living increase before 2011 was in 2006, and that was at 5%. And in 2011, they awarded a 2.5, the board then awarded a 2.5%. Yeah, 2.5%.
I think that information is.
Yeah.
in here. Any other questions that,
When are we prepared to take action on this item?
Next meeting on 12th.
The min, mid, and max, what is that referencing? Years of service?
No.
that's the pay.
The pay scale?
Itself, there's a minimum, the starting point, then the mid-range pay, like 7 years apart. Like every year they get like an increase.
Okay, so years of service. So when I come on to Laguna Madre Water District, I would be at a min rate.
Yes.
And then I reach so many years of service,
There
I
you
get to
go,
the
yes,
mid,
yes,
and
that's
then I
right.
reach the maximum years of service, and I'm at the max, correct?
There you go. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Yeah, right now that's 13 steps, like 13 years.
okay.
And that's
To
the
reach the
current,
max?
that's the current problem, is that this was designed like 2006, 2008.
Yeah.
7. yes.
2007, somewhere in that time frame, and it's just become outdated. I mean, we haven't.
Not enough steps.
Yeah, we have a lot of staff members who've been here a number of years and have just outgrown it,
Okay.
is where we are at this moment.
Yeah, for last year, we had, this past year, we had 2 staff members that had reached the last step, and they hadn't received anything for 2 years. The board was generous enough to give them a one-time stipend. For this year, we have an additional 8 members that will be reaching, or thereabouts, that will be reaching the last step,
Max.
the maximum. And comparing some of these rates, we did notice like the city of McAllen, they had all the way up to 21 steps that their members could go up to. And it kind of really makes sense because if you look at the hiring process, you hire an individual and you hope that he gets to retire from the water district. And retirement is a minimum of 20 years before you can retire. And if you've got 13 steps, then he's going to reach that max within 7, 8 years. And after that, he's not going to get anything. So that is why, in the next part of this, we're asking for the board to consider at the next meeting extending these steps from 13 to 20 steps.
This was done by a consultant back in 2007 is where this was adopted from. Who and what are we getting the additional steps from? From the consultant? Are we adding to this? Where are those additional steps and what's the level that they're coming in at?
Okay, what I did is, from the original schedule that we currently have, I added 2 pay scales here. One at 5%, I added 5% to that, and then the other one, I added 3%. And then in addition to that, I extended it an additional 7 years. So you have 20 steps.
So the
That didn't
steps
come
are,
out- That didn't come from the consultant at all?
No.
We didn't
did not come
make
from the
contact.
consultant.
No.
They were just done in-house.
Yeah.
We're using the
In-house,
consultant,
in-house.
Okay.
right, we're using the consultant, the last consultant's pay scale. And that's what we're basing everything on.
So let me explain. So the consultant does an analysis and comes up with the minimum.
Right.
And then each step is basically just 2.5% more. And that's what each step entails. So it's a simple calculation to add more steps. You just add another 2.5% to what the prior step was.
If I may say, I understand, but I think we need to thoroughly explain the difference between the COLA and the step. I don't think there's some clarity for some of the board members of what they are and what the difference is. I think we need to really identify those two because they sound totally different. They are totally
They are.
different. They sound totally different, and I think that needs to, am I correct? I mean, I know there's
Yes.
some questions that have come around.
Yes.
So that needs to be further clarified, in my
Right.
opinion.
What it is that the pay scale, every step is a 2.5 difference. It goes up higher at 2.5. For the reason being that we normally do an annual evaluation on each employee, and whoever is doing a good job and, they perform good. So the evaluation, if he passes it, he will increase 1 step higher every year. So it does go 2.5 up until,
Can you go up more than 1 step in a year,
yes, it can.
in 12 months? Yeah.
Depending on their, experience that they have. People that left the district, and we have gotten employees from other entities that are really high on the trainings, and they've been experienced like 10, 15 years, and we get them back, they might get 1 or 2 steps above the starting point. And,
Let's say somebody's at a 5 right now. 12 months from now, could they be at a 7 or 8, or could they only get at a 6 in 1 year?
normally, we just increase 1 or 2 steps. The most that we've done is 2 steps, more or less, 2 steps.
Does
There has
anybody
been a-
not get a step in a year? Sometimes you guys do evals and you're like, sorry, you didn't make it.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have. Yes, we have.
But also by the same token, in reference to your question, if the employee really excels, then there is consideration for an additional step.
That's good. You should.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, depending on how much experience, how much they've excelled, and we do have staff that does that. They do a really good job, and they take their job like really seriously and do real good jobs for us. So, especially the management here, that's why they're managers, because they've been here more than 10 years apiece, if I'm not mistaken.
These PUB, mins and maxes, are they current? This is
Yes.
stuff we just pulled from them?
Yes, as a matter of fact,
They were very forthcoming with all their information? Okay.
as a matter of fact, they just received the 5% increase.
So theirs is very relevant because they are the closest city to us. A lot of our employees that do live here for better pay, they go straight there. And if they live in the area, it's not too far for them to be able to travel. So that, as far as we're concerned, that's the most relevant. It's also relevant because they just completed a wage study. So they just thoroughly studied all of their positions and adjusted their pay according to their wage study. And we were able to get a copy of that wage study.
These are their new wages?
Mhm,
Yeah.
correct.
We just did it this last year, a few months ago, And when I talked to them, they did a 5% increase on all their positions.
And to explain what's the difference between what a COLA is a cost of living adjustment, and that's basically an across-the-board wage adjustment. So if you approve that, it would be, everybody would get that percentage, so.
Regardless of their current pay.
So the next question I have, is the COLA automatic, or is a COLA tied in with the performance step evaluation?
It's a one-time increase.
Well, I mean, but are we automatically giving a COLA, and then the step program is as directed or as reviewed?
Correct.
No,
Correct.
excuse me, the step is the COLA.
No.
You just said every year, every
Step
step
and
is
COLA.
2.5%. You said that, right?
Yes,
But that's
every
not-
step.
But that's
is-
not the COLA.
But that's not the
But
COLA.
he just said it was. He just said every step was at 2.5%. Is that a COLA or is that merit?
That's a
Base.
merit.
That's a merit.
Every step is, the step is tied to the merit. The merit will be provided to the employee. There's a form which is reviewed with the employee and with management. And there's some factors that are reviewed with each employee as performance. If the employee is reliable, if there's any warnings through the year, if there has been any problems with the employee. So it's basically like an evaluation through the year.
I'm sorry, it's a merit increase tied to the job performance. As was stated just a while ago, if the employee does not perform that well, they do not get that merit raise. And then again, if the employee does excel, then there is a possibility of getting 2 steps, depending on the performance.
And that is not a COLA.
Right.
That is a merit
Yeah.
increase.
Well, they need to be separated. The merit needs to be separated.
They're always
from COLA.
separated.
I just want everyone to be clear, that's
I think
why
I got
I
it now.
They should be
fully,
separated.
Yeah, in the school district I just came from, they have all their steps public. You can go on the BIC website, you can see, if you're a first-year teacher, you're gonna make this. You got a master's, you're gonna make that, you got a doctorate, you're gonna make that. Theirs is year of service, theirs is a merit. I wish they would adopt this system. And then when the superintendent gives I guess it's a COLA increase, a 1% or whatever increase for cost of living, then the whole thing increases by 1%.
There.
And
That's
that's,
But your
exactly-
steps still occur. So
Yes.
I completely get it now. Takes football guys a little
That's
longer, but I got
perfectly
it.
correct.
Thanks.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's
I'll
being
never heard that,
presented.
but I got it. I'll give him my notes later.
That's what's being presented on
Yes.
the pay scale.
Makes perfect sense to me. Thank you, guys.
Just for the board's info, in 2012, the federal Social Security COLA was 1.7, 1.5 in 13, 1.7 in 14, 0 in 15, 0.3 in 16, and then 2% in 17 and 2.8 in 2018. So like cumulatively, federally, it's been around 5% over the past, since we did our last one in 2011.
combined.
Yeah,
Combined.
combined.
So we got some COLA makeup to do.
Well, the COLA needs to be automatic. If you do a good job, I mean, if you just do an average job, you're entitled to the COLA. If you do your job and exceed, that's when the steps should
The
come
merit.
into play. I think the way to do this is to put in some more steps and make the COLA automatic, adjusted or indexed on some type of federal cost of living rate for the year.
Well, on the percent that y'all decide to approve, we'll adjust that increase on the pay scale itself. And then, of course, it keeps going with 2.5 thereafter. But it'll be adjusted accordingly.
So we definitely need to increase the number of steps.
Yes.
So this first breakdown right here is like a 5% or 3% proposal of all steps increases. Is that correct?
We talking about the next
Talk
agenda
about
item?
Where are you?
this page right here,
No.
oh,
Okay, that-
where we're
No, this-
referencing other
this-
districts in
yeah.
our region.
This is a sample of positions that we were able to gather some
And we're
information on.
referencing where we're at now, where we'd be if we did a 5% total increase, where we'd be if we did a 3% total
That's correct.
increase, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk about that. In addition, we're gonna talk about increasing steps. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's right.
what's
That's correct.
gonna get decided Wednesday.
That's
Yes,
correct.
sir.
Okay, perfect.
This is a sample. Were there any positions that we are higher than Brownsville?
I didn't do that.
We didn't see any. I mean, in the comparison that we made, because we could only
Sounds like
compare.
I got moved to Brownsville, guys.
Yeah.
The next board.
Well,
Well-
I bring that up about going to Brownsville. I've got, being from one department, I got 9 guys, including myself. Out of those 9 guys, 5 live out of town because they can't afford to live here. 3 live with their parents and their family, with the parents or the in-laws. Only one person has their own place, which I think is Section 8 housing. So the fact that, of the area that we're at, the living is a lot higher
Yeah.
for the average worker here.
Quality of living is better in Brownsville.
So,
Quality of housing.
yeah.
Mhm.
The
Yeah, we
five-
just get more for your money.
Yeah.
I live out of town, we live in Oakland. Just keep that in mind, bro.
Definitely. Thank you.
And again, if there's any other questions that you come up with during the weekend or next week before the meeting, let us know.
Okay.
We'll
How was
bring
it
them up.
decided to increase the steps by 2.5%?
Um,
Is that just a figure
We-
you picked out?
Yeah, we
That
based
was
that on
the-
the consultants.
The rate study that was
rate
done in
study.
2007, that's what they provided for us, and they figured it out themselves, through a professional. I guess they have information from the whole state, always. They have available information, and they researched, and that's the way it came about, so 2.5%. Okay, if there's no other question, we can move to the next. Like I said, if you all come up with any other questions, bring them up.
Is our water rates, do they have a set amount they go up each year with inflation as well? No.
No.
Is it possible to tie that to inflation?
Yes, I mean, just take some board adoption rates.
Mercy.
That's why it's been, I mean, and that too has been a consultant recommendation, that they have, right, we have a step program to recommend, but do you have that information?
Yes, we do.
The 5-year rate study?
5-year rate
Yes.
study that tells you the rates that should be adjusted to keep up with the COLA, the rest of the state and the such.
So there is it.
And then we adopt it accordingly. It's obviously a painful topic.
I mean, it's a lot easier for people to understand, hey, my rates went up.
Just
because
goes up
this is
1%,
This is what
1.3%.
COLA is, you know, the federal COLA was this, and so my rates are going up this. That's easier to stomach, I think, than,
Because the expenses
Mean
keep
more.
going up. The expenses never go down.
yeah, absolutely. That would be something I would think we could look into in the future.
Well, it's just not the COLA that it just affects the rates. It's, we're looking at like $7 million in capital projects in the next few years that have to be borne by the rates.
Sure,
Or
yeah,
a bond.
Or the taxes.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
that's all.
bond. Yeah, doesn't have to only be the water
Right,
rates.
but the bond is turned down.
I know. I think it was turned down for a multitude of reasons, which new electees are willing to help adjust. When do we talk about rates? Because I was elected to talk about just that. I know it's not on this agenda.
Oh, we'll come back with it whenever you decide to.
I mean, I prefer not to do it in a public session. I'd rather do it in a workshop session or something that's, semi off the record, but
This is fully public though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
This is a
'Cause
public
I
workshop.
don't watch, I like seeing myself on it, I think it's pretty cool. Get my worn out. Looking good today, bro.
I'm used to being on TV, so it's no big deal for me.
Oh, well, that shows somebody over there handing out Gatorade, right?
Are we moving on to, I guess, 3 and 4 we've discussed, are we moving on to item 5?
Yeah,
Is that correct?
let's do it.
Okay. Item 5, consider and discuss revisions to Laguna Madre Water District Title 16 Feasibility Study Report, relocate advanced water treatment facility to Port Road, add improvements at water plant number 1 to potential project.
He just
Yes.
stepped up.
Okay, yes, this is information that we came about because we went out, and looked at with a couple of the board members, and we need improvements at the water treatment plant number 1, to really comply with all TCQ requirements, rules and regulations. That plant is already outdated, and we need advanced treatment, which would be similar to water plant number 2. And we'll go out there with our new board members on the 10th, next Monday, and do a tour. So they'll get to see that new water treatment, and then they'll get to see the old water plant that we need this improvement in. And the reason that we put it in the workshop is that it goes together with a CIP after the capital improvement plan that's coming up next on the next agenda item. That way we can think of, if the board decides to go with tax bonds, we can bring them up in November, and hopefully that we can get something through there. But I believe that there's an opportunity now to move forward, and there's some grants that are available. I think it's 20% or 25%?
Well, 25%.
25%?
It would be paid by the federal, like, grant.
Right.
If we do,
So-
with Bureau of
Yeah,
Reclamation.
keep going with this. We're at item number 5 now.
Yeah, just to recap, I guess back in 15, we had done that Port Isabel Water Reclamation study, or feasibility report. And in that study, basically, that's where we, identified the needs for rehab at the Port Isabel wastewater treatment plant. And those were broken down into 3 phases, where phase 1 was kind of upgrading the water quality to eventually get water reuse going. The second phase was maintenance issues, and then the third phase would be expanding to 2 MGD, whenever we have to pull that trigger. And so with the current construction, we've already done all of phase 1, and we've put in elements of phase 2, like the headworks and the sludge holding tanks, and that's pretty much what's already at construction. And in terms of eligibility for the grant assistance, that phase 1 component of the wastewater plant could have been done at 25% grant had we have, gotten that in place. And so this is just kind of a reminder of that. We did get that Title 16 project approved, so we are eligible, through that program with Bureau of Reclamation. And really, the reason for this letter is just they send out this email on October 17th, just with because these projects used to have to go through special appropriations with Congress, but now Congress basically gave a blanket approval for all Title 16 projects for Bureau of Reclamation to award, and it's starting to get funded as well, where they've made $72 million available last year. And so their chances are in December or January, they're going to issue a funding opportunity announcement. And so that could be a chance to just make an application for the grant, not to commit ourselves to anything.
We need to take full advantage of all of that.
Right.
On every project we begin that's large, we need to start from that and move forward.
Mhm.
Who's tasked with the responsibilities of researching potential grants that are available for X amount of projects?
Well, I mean, we don't really have a specific grant writer, but more or less it would be me. I mean, who would, when they send emails.
Find some grants.
Yeah, well, I've tended, since I've worked a lot with Water Development Board, I kind of know the process of getting funding, and then reclamation is another avenue we've used, so.
Problem with the grant writers, they take a large chunk off the top. I mean, and so the net isn't as great.
Yeah, so I was just this was more a heads up that if that funding opportunity announcement comes out here in the next couple of
Yes.
weeks or month, the board would have to pass a resolution approving that we submit the application. And then that's basically the extent of board action that would go in the application.
With the microfiltration system into plant number 1 qualify for the reclamation funds?
Well, we'd have to amend the feasibility study. That's what I was trying to get at with this request, is right now, with this study, the plan was build microfiltration, reverse osmosis, and UV disinfection, all at water plant 2, and then chlorinate the effluent through a 7-mile pipeline by reversing flow in our existing raw water main, and then build the whole facility at water plant 2. But sort of what I'm trying to request for the first time is to amend that study to keep everything here in Port Isabel and repurpose water plant 1 for reuse, where we make it MF and RO, and then do the UV before the reservoir to get the disinfection before we're mixing with the river water.
I don't see any support publicly in general for the reuse of effluent back into the reservoirs.
Right. And so that's where,
That's not gonna work. I mean, years ago, when I was on the council on the island, the city was using effluent on the boulevards. And the city manager, you remember it, Kendall, he put a sign up that said South Padre Island uses effluent water. And I had some calls. He put a tag on for irrigation purposes.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember those signs that have been posted up until, when we did our permit renewal in 2015? That's when we realized, because that permit for that effluent reuse expired in '97, but we kept doing it through 2015 because we have effluent permit for Isla Blanca Park that the county hasn't used in forever. So basically, the way effluent reuse is written in our sewer permit, plant discharge permit, is different from what the island had. But we were just kind of like using one location, like the permit read one description and the actual use was another. And so I kind of brought that to everybody's attention in the renewal in 2015. And that's when we basically told the island they had to stop. And if you notice the green grass, how green it's gotten, that's from potable water.
Yeah.
It's-
I'm just saying the
yeah.
public perception
Of effluent.
Yeah.
in this tourist area, I don't think
reuse.
is positive.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an avenue, because of course, you're talking about adding the RO, the UV, a lot of project components to get a 25% grant, where if you just keep it to MF, well, you don't mess with the grant, but you don't have all
Yeah.
that project expense.
I was doing a little research, and El Paso is doing it, but they took many years and did, kept polling people every few years to see, and it wasn't until there was 90% of people that were in support of it that they decided to move forward with that project. So.
When I tell people that the water that comes out of the river is less in quality than what we put out as effluent, they're sort of taken back by that.
Yeah, that's absolutely
I know
true.
scientifically everything works, but it's just
Yeah.
public perception.
Well, in the river, it's been recycled and it's unregulated,
Yeah,
who knows how many
many
times.
Well, on this part, I'd say that the board can take a different direction on it, and a decision, and say that we can at least try to do the tax bonds for the microfiltration here at water plant number 1. And what was it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the more immediate request would be if
Some
this,
improvements there also,
Yeah. I'm-
besides that microfiltration. Because the filters that we have in there right now are not working at all.
Yeah.
So
They're not working or they're in
They're-
diminished
they're-
capacity.
They don't allow us to produce what the water amount that we need.
the capacity and the,
quality itself, you already know that it's gonna be, not comparable to water plant, 2.
taste.
And
taste,
we're
yeah.
gonna require that we run the plant, and, people are gonna know, they're gonna find out right away. Then we start pumping.
You're talking about water plant 1.
Water
Yeah,
plant.
no, I know that.
They'll find out what?
That there's a.
Taste
difference in
difference,
taste and-
quality difference.
Oh, yes.
As soon as we put in the new
As soon
stuff.
as we start pumping from water plant 1, we're gonna find the difference in water.
Does not have microfiltration.
Oh, it doesn't have.
Does
No,
not.
the filtration system there is the antiquated one, the gravity flow, conventional filters, there's sand, gravel, and anthracite. But really, it doesn't do a lot of like microfiltration. It's high technology, it cleans the water super clean. And this one will, I'm thinking that will possibly violate the trihalomethanes, the turbidity on it, because it's antiquated.
This
So those
TCEQ
bills
has
for
changed their.
a higher NTU, which is turbidity level.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you look on the attachment, like with 3-22 and 3-23, I mean, this is describing like log removal credits, like pathogens, from like kind of a way you see how good your water plant's, treating the water. And for example, at water plant 1, which is 3-22, where we have our conventional treatment, and we used chloramines for disinfection, like our, virus, we only get a credit of 4. Giardia, we get a credit 3. Cryptosporidium, we get 3. But with what we have going at water plant 2 on the next page for virus removal, we're getting a credit of 6. And then it's still, 4 on Giardia and 4 on Cryptosporidium. So we're like, it's a higher level of treatment as a whole.
So, just because we're new, you know, I'll have to
Yeah.
bear
Yeah,
with
let's
us,
give
right?
the
Yeah,
the
I know.
picture view of.
Yeah.
We're going around Monday with Carlos and anybody else to check out all the plants and get a real understanding of the system so we can help you guys do what you want to do. But in the quick meantime, we got 2 water treatment plants where water comes into. Water, we get all our water from the Rio Grande, right?
Right.
Rio Grande, it all goes to Reservoir 3.
Mhm.
Some of that water gets to Reservoir 1,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
So right now, when I turn, if I live on South Padre Island, I turn my water on, where's it coming from? Treatment plant 1 or treatment plant 2?
Two.
2, is everything coming from treatment plant 2?
Correct.
And we're not using treatment plant 1,
No.
because it sucks?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And we want to start using treatment plant 1 again,
Yes.
but we gotta upgrade it.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Why do we have to use treatment plant 1 again?
Because, right now, the capacity at that water plant, I mean, it's rated at 8 MGD.
Okay.
You know, but you can't really produce any more than 6.8. You're just putting too much stress.
This is
your-
at number 2 right now.
Yes, on
So
your-
we're maxed.
We're, yes.
Pretty close.
And,
So
and
75
At peak capacity, at peak capacity.
At peak
Yeah,
capacity.
you have to stress that.
So last summer, you were pumping 7 million gallons of
So we
need.
need more water
Yeah.
flow. basically.
Correct.
And it needs help. It needs help. You
Yeah.
know, you're talking.
And if something happens to it, I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, with our drought contingency, like our triggers for drought measures is when we're pushing the plant more than 45% capacity, we should be looking at expansion, which we're there already.
Okay.
So-
So what plans do we have in place right now to increase the quality at plant 1?
Well, we gotta add something to our capital improvement
So
plan
right
and
now,
make it
nothing.
official. Correct.
That's the discussion phase.
So right now, we want to add quality measures to it, and then we'll feel happy about opening it and giving the public the water from it.
Yeah.
That's right,
The
okay?
original plan to add was to add capacity and do the microfiltration.
Well, yeah, the minimum
Or
is-
the desal, right?
Well,
No.
well, desal is at the island. That's another kind of chasing grant, kind of governor initiated
Hold on,
request.
stop it.
So basically, at a minimum, we need to be looking at microfiltration to replace our conventional filtration, and making sure we're getting equal water quality out of water plant 1 like we can produce out of water plant 2.
And I assume we've looked at, instead of doing stuff to water plant 1, just adding more capacity to water plant 2, and we've decided, nah,
Well-
that's maxed out.
Well, it's better because the thing is we need to be pressurizing our system. So the way our system's pressured is the high service pumps pushing out of the plants. And water plant 1 is just located in a really nice location to do that.
Sure.
And we already have water plant 2 doing its job, so it helped balance it out.
Not to mention, if you expand the microfiltration, you're gonna need another clarifier, it's gonna get more expensive right away.
At number 2, as opposed to doing it at 1.
Opposed to doing that
Right.
now.
Yep.
What do we need to do with 1 to make 1 taste like 2?
You need a new filtration system.
About $6 million.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
And that's why we need to plan on a bond issues for next November.
Correct.
So we were looking at trying to do it through, if we do the reclamation, then we would be eligible for 25% funding.
Yeah, but you're
But
gonna get a bigger
if-
project.
If you don't feel that there's enough support for that, we want to go in that direction, then,
So that's
We
caught me
should.
up to speed finally, because I was trying to understand what was going on here. So
Mhm.
we start using water plant 1 in order to get it to where it tastes like water plant 2, we're gonna need to spend $6 million. In order to get a 25% grant, we need to add some more components to that
Yeah, I'll probably jump up to $10 million.
to make it jump up to $10 million.
But the reclamation
Yeah,
is,
it's
the
reuse.
prerequisite is the reuse, right?
Yes, without reuse,
I
you're
don't
not
think
gonna get the
that's
grant.
yeah, you're not going to get a grant.
Reuse is gonna be looked at unfavorably by our,
I
Yeah,
don't think people want to come down here and think they're drinking toilet water.
yeah,
It's
but
called
it's,
toilet to tap is the acronym,
Yeah.
and it's a tough sell. I
yeah.
mean, it is the way it works, and it
I
is.
think what you titled us is something. We need to just rediscover new names, I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, that will be how people will be opposed.
I mean,
But if we did sell it,
Reclamation sounds
let's assume
better,
we
I
did
think.
sell it, then we're just talking about pure math, and pure math is spend 6 million straight up and come up with money to do that, or spend 10 million más o menos, and you get a 25% cut of that. And where's my?
Yeah,
is that-
25% is paid.
So then
by
you're
the-
still paying $8 million.
You're still,
Yeah.
so it doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
it's probably,
7.5 million.
I mean, because our, like, right now, our limit is how much we can divert off the river. That's, the river's oversold. So the model for the river is when you buy agriculture water, they cut the amount you can divert in half, and then you change it to municipal. That's the process for when you buy water rights. And so basically, we're at the point to where we're approaching 100% under drought conditions of, what we can divert
And that's
for
what
our
they're
actual
trying,
demand.
that's what the Bureau of
And so this is one of those
Reclamation
attempts to
is
resolve that issue.
conservation. And it is all conservation. It's all Las Vegas is toilet to tap water. I mean, that's all they specialize in, and it's that reuse, because they're not making any more water. They're only just treating the water that's out there. That's the wholesale, and that's what they're trying to focus on.
Yeah, so if we're not buying more water rights, then we need to, they're suggesting we either do desal or some kind of reclamation project. And
Yeah, I
so
mean-
that's where we're at.
Yeah, the grant is because they identify this as more expensive, and that's why they're trying to help out.
When we bring water plant one up with the microfilters, will we also bring up the capacity, or is it still gonna be about 2.5?
It'll be,
Currently, the way it stands?
Well, I mean, when you add the microfiltration.
Oh, when you add the microfiltration, it all depends on,
Yeah,
How many trains you build will tell you how much you can do.
I mean, here it says 4.1, right? 4 to 4.1.
Well, 4.1 is the permit, the reality is, what, 2?
2.9?
Yeah.
Right now, but if you do micro, it'll go up to 4.1 to 5.
So it can go up.
Our clarifiers are built for 4 MGD, and then if we get the filtration up to snuff, then we can get 4 MGD out of the plant.
So if you could get 4 there and almost
And then
8 at
8,
the other one,
yeah,
that's
that'll
12.
set us in good shape
That's
for
Set us up
30
for a
years.
few
That'd be
years.
good for another 20 years.
15, 20 years.
Let me ask you, without, I mean, I put aside the fact we could get a 25% grant, why would we want to use affluent water? What are the advantages?
It's just to reduce what we divert off the river
Okay.
to meet our demand without,
Because you only have so
And
many
then-
water rights to pull water, and that's
Right.
the maximum
That's
amount
it.
of water you can pull out of the river.
We don't pay, do we pay for what we pull out of the river?
it's a one, you buy the right
Yeah.
up front. And
So you
then,
buy the right up front?
And
Yeah.
we're close to maxing out those water rights. I mean, we're,
yeah, like the last, what was it, 75 acre feet was
yes.
$100,000?
I mean, we're
Yeah.
pretty,
Yeah.
we don't have a whole lot extra.
The only thing is that the water level at the Falcon and Amistad Lakes is at 60% right now.
Yeah.
And it tends to go below 50, and then we're in a drought situation right off the bat.
And they only light it
Right,
so much.
so
Yeah.
that means we have to send conservation letters to the customers, try to conserve, save water, and then that's the issue that we have right now. We don't have any alternative source of water but the Rio Grande.
Yeah, and then plus, with the way our water rights authorization is set up, we actually lose water rights during drought, which is kind of, for municipal, that's usually doesn't happen, but that's just the way we're set up. I guess we probably acquired some of our water rights through irrigation for agriculture. So when times are good, we have no issues pulling off the river, but when times are bad, we're just cutting it too thin.
And
then that's
water
the
rights
reason that-
lately have been the costs have been going up
Yeah.
significantly.
The rate-
I know McAllen just allocated $7 million to purchase water rights.
Yeah, Laredo drives the price, and right now we're at 3,000 per acre foot.
Who do we buy it from?
Anybody who's
yeah.
selling.
The
Anyone who's
1960s,
selling.
that's when it was all allocated to everybody, and so it's just something that somebody owns and they can sell it to somebody else.
Whoever wants to sell, they'll sell.
It's an open market.
Somebody
And that's
owns
why
rights to
reuse
the
was
Rio
brought
Grande
about.
water.
Yeah.
It allows them to pull
2016,
water out.
14.
The ones we just bought was from the Brown Estate, which was an old farm tract.
So
No,
usually
I'm
it's
talking about the
agricultural
reuse came
that are
about
not
because of
using
that
it anymore.
reason that we don't have an alternative
That maybe
source
they'll
of water.
develop it for residential or whatever other use. They can sell the rights that they have. That's
Didn't we bring that up
usually how it
for
goes.
2012 bonds?
Well, reuse is one of the elements that got approved in the 2011 election,
Right.
and really that project was structured to kind of build a pipeline from the LV sewer plant and send it back to the reservoir.
Straight out of the river.
But with the salinity being so high, because we're not treating the salt, I mean, really that only use is for that amenity lake, because it's too saline for irrigation.
Of water.
So we personally have no water rights to water from the Rio Grande, except for what we buy from someone else. Like, we don't have a big old pump there pumping. and
Right, we
own,
have
right?
7,500 acre, how many?
Yeah, our water rights, like water rights are, there's a water master.
7,500 acres,
close.
Yeah, 75, 28?
roughly, I mean, round numbers.
Yeah.
That we buy from other people.
No, we own it. We own it outright.
We own
it.
now.
Yeah, the one
And that's
that's
all
kind of
the
like a
water
bank
we're
account.
allowed to pump.
Right,
Per
we
year.
have-
Per annual, yes. But
Right,
they
and
do
we have
offer free
purchased from other
pumping
people.
during
We
good
have-
times to fill up, they're
Yeah.
free flow, free pump.
Yeah, there's actually a water master he monitors all the stream flows, for the whole river, all the way up into New Mexico. And then we report, we actually report and meter every time we have to make a request, And they actually release that amount of water we request from Falcon Dam, and then we have a window where we pump off the river. And all that's allocated, to the cubic foot per second.
And we basically take all the water we have rights to every year.
Well, in drought, we're at like close to 95, 100%.
But not over the course of the whole year, right?
No, well, I mean, it's all, because the amount we get is based on how much water is at Falcon and Amistad. So when Falcon and Amistad capacity is at 50% or higher, I mean, we only use, 4,500, 5,000 acre feet per year? Or 54, yeah, 5,400 acre feet per year is our demand, and under drought, we're limited to 5,500. So that's why we've been buying water rights, to make sure we stay above our demand.
But we're not even buying that much, 25 here. I mean, our demand, what we're buying is kind of what's available and affordable.
Yeah, but I mean, like when
And it's not the long-term solution either, but that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, it's just the way to diverse, so we're not 100%, relying on the river. This reuse just gives us some more buffer.
Right, and normally what the reuse would do is we send it back to the reservoir and then treat it again, so, yeah, that's, I think it's just spending money on it, but it backs you up with how many, a whole.
Yeah, I mean, like if, because we're running what, 750,000 gallons per day is kind of more or less what we can get out of the Port Isabel sewer plant. And with RO, we'd probably be recovering 80%, 70% of that water back to make it potable. So I mean, that's what we'd save on buying water rights.
We do need to look at the microfiltration and taking care of that one with at least tax bonds.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a given from the water quality, and then this is just, I'll just bring this to your attention.
It would be interesting to compute the spread in the, let's say we go ahead and increase number one up to the 4 million whatnot. One day we can, increase there, we got a 12 million gallon a day capacity. But what do our water rights give us, let's say in the summertime? We may be able to treat that much, but can we pull that much from the river?
Well, yeah,
What's the
well,
difference gonna be?
Depending on the drought
In
situation.
the summertime, yeah, let's say.
Yeah.
Huh?
yeah.
It's gonna depend on demand. I mean, you're gonna be capable of, for whatever reason, if for 1 month, because we're seasonal, our demand fluctuates so much. I mean, if in 1 month you're able to pull, or produce 10 MTV, I mean, as long as we stay within our rights, we should be able to
Right.
pull it, because eventually it's gonna come down. It's never gonna stay.
Yeah, but your issues are gonna be in the summertime.
Summertime,
Right.
well,
But can you go back historically? We've always had enough water rights to pull everything we need. Sometimes we've had to conserve.
Well, we've borrowed from Fish and Wildlife a couple of years, but I mean, it's been real
that
minor.
was after the
Yeah.
summer, after. Well, the summer, we can make it through the summer because summer is only like 3 months and then we have enough capacity.
If there's ever large growth, that's the
But then after
question.
that, if we
Yeah.
have a high demand during the summer, then we have to look at September, October, November, December. And U.S. Fish and Wildlife had 1,000 acre feet that we can
Yeah, I mean,
utilize from them. And then we
Yeah.
came back with it.
our unofficial buffer that we can't officially mention is that Fish and Wildlife has this right of 1,000 acre feet to draw off our reservoir on Racetrack Road, and so they've always been willing to let us use them if we need it. But
One of the things that I did bring back from U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they called me up a week ago, and I talked to this guy that wanted to proceed with a project that we requested from them like 7 months ago, 8 months, maybe half a year more ago, that we'd build a big reservoir, retention reservoir for the Agua district in their property, and they're interested in that. All we need to do is just provide water and let the animals go drink water out of that, and then it's our water in there. So they are looking into that, so they wanted me to bring it back to the board, so I'll bring it back to the board at the next agenda, probably in January. We'll see what the board thinks about that. We built the big reservoir and put water in it and just store it for our purpose.
How many days capacity do we have in our current reservoirs. If all the pumps shut down tomorrow at the river,
More than 30 days
I
maybe?
think it's about
30 days.
Depends on the, yeah.
If it's in summertime, I'd be cutting it short. like
Yeah,
that.
well, for example, like Reservoir 3 is what, 75 million gallons? And, you know, during the summer, we'd be getting, what, 6, 7 million gallons per day?
Yeah.
But I mean, we can't draw it, we can only draw that level down, what, 5, 6 feet before we
Right now,
have
that number's
problems.
Probably gone down though because of the sludge that's,
Yeah, we need to dredge the reservoir where the sludge has been going, but that's another story.
Is that budgeted to do?
Well, yeah, we have money in the account for the sludge lagoon, and, I mean, our approach is kind of, like, right now, we have a permit for land application, just so we don't have to haul it off-site, that's under review with TCEQ right now, and we need to get a plan set or figure out a way to get the earthwork done and clean it out. Like, I'm sure the rain yesterday kind of killed the attempt to dry. So,
Any other questions on item number 5?
well, I guess,
And again, you bring it up with the regular board meeting.
I mean, just, or maybe just one discussion item, if that funding opportunity does get issued, I mean, do we even want to submit anything or not even mess with it?
if you can get the microfiltration system approved through it, and he says no.
Right, no, they won't.
They're-
We run into the same problem here, they're not going to pay for us to fix our sewer plant, they want to see the reuse.
Yeah, they're not going to grant us money for, unless we're doing a reclamation.
No, they never, nobody ever
or
gives money to
diesel.
fix that, only to build bigger, newer stuff that then you don't have the money to fix. That's how I always find it with every other board I've been on. It's-
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll help you grow, but they won't help you maintain it.
Yep.
right.
Moving on.
Well, I guess I have one other question. If we do use affluent water, how much money would that then save us a year from having to buy water from somewhere else? That should be part of that calculus.
It is been calculated, what was the number?
Yeah.
Because you said like, oh, it'd be 10 million bucks. So that's $4 million more than the 6 million to get water treatment plant going.
Yeah, I mean-
So like, how much would we save a year? 10,000 bucks? Or we're talking,
Well,
no, we'd save $500,000 a year?
It'd be more just that one upfront purchase, because water rights you just buy once, and once you have it, you know, it's your right that you own, you know,
Forever.
until, yeah.
So we own that forever.
Yeah, like we could estimate the acre feet that we'd produce, what was it, like 950 acre feet? I think that was kind of the range more or less.
Yes.
And right now, the market's at 3,000 per acre foot, so, I mean, we're talking, you know, 2.9 million in water rights.
Okay. I guess it would be easier for me to understand, oh yeah, we should do it, or it doesn't make sense financially. to
Yeah,
know
the water
how
rights
much
is
money
so
we would
bad.
save a year by using our own affluent water.
And that'll be like the alternative source of water that we have available,
Right.
especially during drought.
It's also the stigma attached with using the FLR.
Yeah.
It's
It's the real new wave of the world.
It's a potential PR.
But it is the PR crisis
There's always a
that's
possibility
that you gotta get
we
rid
can
of
do it here, like,
to
come back.
go forward.
Well, we could phase it, like say we do that today,
It's
and then we
common all
kind of
over.
keep
Yeah,
the
that's
ultimate
a-
plan for
that's
whenever we have to
common
pull
all
that
over.
trigger,
That
RO.
worries me the least. I think we could
You know.
convince people if we did it right, that, hey, listen, they're using this everywhere. How many people from here have gone to Las Vegas and drank water, right? You've drank it, right?
We may want to
Absolutely.
consider hiring a PR
I think if we just advertise it intelligently, we can.
We may want to consider hiring a PR firm if we are going to go in that direction.
You
Yeah.
got Jason right there, man. We don't need a PR firm. That's all we need.
I'm probably cheaper than the one you're looking at.
Yeah.
So are we still discussing this item? There's two other items that I want to talk about, and I don't know in the heart of education, if I could be educated on raw water and how we get it, if this is the appropriate setting for that.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot already. I would just love to know a little bit more about raw water, how we get it, what it costs to get it,
Okay.
who our customers are that get raw water.
Okay. The only two is a golf course and the city of Port Isabel are the only two that utilize raw water. And the city of Port Isabel came about because they have a baseball park back here close to the reservoir. And we converted a pump directly to them and a meter. that's it on that one. The golf course utilizes a lot more acre feet of water because they utilize it for the golf course itself, and then I guess some other areas around the
Yeah, there's HOAs that it services as well, roughly, I don't know, 500 units. It's the villas and
yeah.
it's the retirement community, pretty much. The most inexpensive housing in that community on the south side of that street is in an HOA where raw water is used. It's a tap that, yes, sir, you're familiar, yes, sir. So, because when the raw water rates went up, are we hanging meat in here, or? When rates went up,
Do we want to get it colder?
when rates went up, you know, it was referenced that rates should reflect, earlier in this meeting, that should reflect the COLA, which is an acronym I just learned, right, and what percentage that should look like, and, you know, obviously they've got to increase because, you know, we're trying to expand and grow, and that's a source of revenue. But the raw water rates in our last rate increase increased multiple times over the course of a small period of time, and they increased by a very large percentage. And as I reviewed our revenue stream of just last year, raw water revenue, $84,422.91, actually makes up only 0.0088%, less than 1% of our entire revenue stream, which our revenue last year was $9.585 million, in case anybody forgot. So if it makes up less than 1% of our entire revenue, why do we increase it 3 times and it went from 55 cents,
No, it didn't.
which was adamantly, if I may finish.
The last contract was at 80 cents. There were 2 temporary reductions to 55, then it went back up to 80, and then with the adoption of the rate study plan, that's when it,
So the rate study, I'd love to see that too, because I'd like to see a study that tells me that less than 1% of my revenue stream needs to be doubled in cost. I'd like to see that.
If I may say, I respect the topic and what we want to discuss, but we're going way off topic and moving on.
This is a topic I will continue to bring up so I get the
Well,
answers.
that's fine, I have no problems with that, but we're more on a workshop topic than we are on
I'd love to work around this
agenda.
topic, so if we can add this to the next workshop.
That's not a problem, but I mean, we're focusing more on other
We'll bring it back.
comprehensive movement plans more than we are on that issue. And no disrespect, I mean,
I was just
stay focused
too
on
deep
this
into that,
agenda.
and we'll bring it back at another workshop.
Because I also have a lot of information about the golf courses in our region. I love how we look at other regions like PUB, and I want you guys to get all the money that you propose to get, and that's what I'm prepared to vote. But when we look at raw water and how we're treating our golf course, it's the only golf course that we have in this region, as opposed to how everyone in Harlingen and Brownsville is treating their golf courses. I think that's going to be alarming information as well. So I'd love to know when the next meeting where I can present that information to this board and find out those answers. Sorry for interfering with our agenda
No,
today.
that's fine, no.
That's
I mean,
definitely
all
the elephant
topics-
in the room. When
all
you see
topics to
me,
be
you should
discussed,
see that.
just,
You're on the learning curve, so you're okay.
Thank you. Because it's not just a golf course we're talking about. We're talking about retired members of our community. Okay, where are we at next?
We're dealing with item 6. Consider and discuss the 5-year capital improvement plan.
good.
See the overview, that first page of 2018-2019 capital improvement plan, what it holds is the first year of capital improvement projects. And what you see here in yellow are funded projects. The others in white are unfunded. They're broken down by department: water projects, wastewater projects, maintenance projects. And at the very and we will give you a total of 495 projects. So we're gonna go over these one by one, or?
I think they should be.
The first one is the fuel restoration. Yeah. We discussed, you have $87 that are funded for that item already.
Yeah, this is where Alex had that comment about adding the dome. I mean, we're looking at either rehabbing a concrete tank or replacing it with a steel tank. I mean, that, because we did look into fiberglass, but got no response from like Red Ewald, and it's really not a practical solution. I mean, for what needs to be out there. That's basically what's on the table right now.
Alright, the next one is residual management, the water treatment sludge, that one's funded. We have $666,791. And that's just a continuation of what we previously discussed at water plant 2, try to get rid of the sludge inside that lagoon. And right now, we've actually went out for bids for an excavator so that we can do as much as we can in-house and try to, we're waiting on Charles' land application so that we can put all that stuff in the front and see where we go with that. And then the next one is the raw water pump replacement and check valves at water plant 2 as well. We had previously discussed in other meetings about replacing raw water pumps. We had 4 total raw water pumps, we've already purchased 2, and we're still lacking 2 more. The inefficiency was the main problem there, and they just don't give you what they're expected out to do. And the check valves are just basically the valves that allow you to, once you turn it on or off, it opens and closes and just prevents the rapid mix from coming back and emptying out back into your reservoir, bringing that chemical back and on.
So those raw water pumps, that's just to get the water from the Rio Grande into our plant, is that right?
These specifically are water plant 2. They pull the water from reservoir 3 and into treatment.
Into treatment, okay, so it goes from the reservoir into the treatment plant, from the treatment plant to my house.
Correct.
Okay.
And the next one is rapid mix and CO2 regulators. We have 36,500 funded. And the rapid mix is just basically the first part of treatment where we inject chemical and it's just a mixture. That's all it is. And the CO2 regulators are used for chlorine injection. And these specific regulators, they're vacuum regulators. So what they do is try to prevent leaks when you have when you're pushing the chlorine from the tank into the water system. So that's that. Valve replacement in the basins, we have $5,000, that's already funded. The valve replacement is for each basin, and what we do with that is withdraw sludge, right, to maintain a certain blanket, helps with water quality inside the basin. The river pump station, we're unfunded, $50,000, and what we want to do there is repair raw water pump number 2, which right now currently is just, they're oil-based,
Lubricant?
Seals? Packing. Oil-based packing, and it's no longer working, so it's leaking out a lot of water. So after discussions with some of the machine shops, it didn't seem like a difficult task to repair, but it costs you $1,000 to fill out that pump and, a lot to dismantle, which, we had already repaired raw water pump number 1, and we got back an average of about that number. That's where that number's coming
The pumps are like 45 feet long,
from.
and they have a hard time bringing a cherry picker and bringing it up all the way out of the top of the roof of the building, and then it goes out. Then send it out to repairs.
Carlos, is he gonna be involved in our tour on Monday?
He is, yes.
I'd
Yes,
love
sir.
that.
He is.
Can you
He's
show
a
me
water
this
treatment.
this
Yes,
stuff
sir.
and just, I won't waste their time, but I want
He's the one
to
that's
know
gonna
more
open the
about
gates
this.
for us and
Perfect.
everything, and
My new best friend.
but yeah, no, he's a top man for that, so. we'll
Thank
be
you,
with
sir.
us.
And just to go over the subtotals for water projects, or just the water plant projects, is $65,000 unfunded and $788,000 funded. For the water distribution, we have the water meter system upgrade from AMR to AMI, and that's revenue debt. It's already funded through a private loan, and it's $2.5 million.
No, we're in the process of swapping out the meters right now. I think the golf course received a letter from us stating the fact that we're starting to change out the meters slowly but surely. The contractor will be bringing in some contractor January 7th and start the massive swap out.
So kind of what's the finalization timeline?
That's hard to determine, to be very honest.
March?
Due mostly to the large meters and the scheduling. So this project has been pushed back a couple of times. It was supposed to start like in October, it's now January 7th. So our concern now is we might be working through spring break, that time frame. So we're gonna do scheduling with the hotels,
Businesses?
the rest of businesses. Yes, sir. And we're working that out with PMI as we speak. So, to
Yes.
eliminate any.
I just want to make sure we notify businesses ample time so they can plan or coordinate with the businesses.
Right now, I'm getting information from rental agencies, George Giles, whomever, real estate companies, anybody that has properties, whatever.
Kind of schedule the windows.
Explain our situation. I think knowledge is best. You explain it to them, and everybody's been upfront real good about it, so.
What is it, about 2 hours per residential meter?
No, residential could take, one could take you 10 minutes, another one could take you 30 minutes, depending on the condition of where the meter's at. Okay, the larger meters, 30, 45 minutes on a 2-inch, up to 3 or 4 hours on one of the larger ones, depending on the condition of where they're at. So, we're gonna be having a discussion with PMI on Monday, Mr. Gomez, myself, and the subcontractor, discussing that exact process. So, timeline frame, I don't wanna give you one, because then.
No, just an idea, just
Yes, I
generally.
mean, like I said, we've been pushed back a few times that this is where we're at now,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Well, we did close on the loan. I don't know. I guess we mentioned that on November 28th, right?
What's that?
Yeah, we did close on the loan on the water meters. So it's already.
On some of those big replacements, could you do those like in the nighttime, after hours, or?
That's one of the things that we're gonna be discussing on Monday with BMI, because they have their 85, and then,
Are they going to charge us extra
they
for
may-
those?
They
That's
got prevailing, well, I don't know if they're gonna. have
off-hours
prevailing rates or
rates?
not, But, they're coming out of the Chicago area, so we don't know what kind of, game plan they have. So we're trying to set up our game plan, they're gonna have their game plan, so we're gonna have to work that out. You know, you're gonna charge me 20, no, I'll pay you 5, you know, whatever. We're gonna be playing hardball, I think, on Monday, Mr. Gomez, so.
They have a fixed rate, depending on the meter, as to what they're gonna charge. If they have any additional work that they need to do on the meter, as far as locating it or digging it out, especially at the island, because a lot of those meters are buried with the sand when it rains. If they have any additional problems in digging them out, then there will be an additional charge. But we're trying to get ahead of the game and go out there and identify. We're reviewing all the meters, making sure that they are able to get in there, to replace it, and then continue. This meeting that Mr. Lopez is bringing up is, PMI is asking to come down to do and evaluate and do a little project as to how they want to attack the larger meters, the 2-inch and above. The only problem is that they want us to pay for the trip, which is around $5,500.
We keep getting chiseled nickel and dime on
Yes.
right and left.
Well, my problem with them is that they were here just 2 weeks ago. That's something that they could have done. And my other notion to them is that that $5,500 is something that I would have to bring to you all for approval. And honestly, at this point, I'm not ready to do that. So I need to talk to them and make sure that they understand that. If they need to come down, they need to set it within their budget.
I can't imagine how it costs $5,500. That's sort of,
Well, there's a crew. I mean,
Yeah.
there's more
Yeah.
than that.
What do they bring in,
There's
20
crew
guys?
and housing and
From Montana.
crew and hotel
3 guys for the
housing
week,
and-
they staying at the East of Grand? Come on,
China.
that sounds wild. No, I mean, they're gonna be down here doing the other ones, right? Drive over, take a look.
It's like I said, we're
Yeah.
getting nickel
Tell
and
me I'll
dime
know.
every corner on this.
They were here, like I said, 2 weeks ago, and they went out there to look to see where the meters were at. Mr. Lopez took him around, showing him all the hotels and everything, so.
Just FaceTime
that's
it,
something
man.
they could have done then.
It's crazy. No way. Here you go. It's 2 inch, I mean, what do you, it's
We're
a
trying
2 inch
to,
pipe, yeah, it's 2 inches, good. Thanks for coming down, let's go to the bar, I mean, what do you
Especially
think?
all these
they're coming
off-season
for?
rates right now. Anyways,
If I may add, I think what happened is, when I took them out there, and I left them, and I think they probably went around the area, looking at the different sites. Obviously, the hotels are gonna have large meters, and we have Badger meters, but we have different types of Badger meters. So, in the few that we did see, there's different lay length, okay? And the contract states that it's gonna be a like-for-like swap. For instance, the 20-inch meter, they're gonna pull out a 20-inch meter and they're gonna put in a 20-inch meter. Unfortunately, which that's one thing that we'll bring up on Monday's meeting, they know that the new meter going in is not the same lay length as the Badger meter. They should have taken that into account already. Okay, so now they're talking about, do we need to add spacers? What do we need to do to compensate the length difference? So that's the angle they're coming at. I see the game plan that they have, so Mr. Gomez and I will be getting together, putting our own game plan, and hopefully we can hash it out to where it benefits us. And what they're saying is, they want to minimize downtime on the larger meters, which I get, but again, like Mr. Gomez said, they should have done their homework from the get-go. If I'm replacing Badger meter with a Hershey meter, I need to know what I'm swapping out. So, that's what we're at.
this has been a learning curve with this. We need to leave a set of questions to ask for the next meter replacement. I mean, every corner we turn, there's a new problem. It shouldn't be as difficult as this, or costly, because they keep pumping this up. This is my 2 cents worth, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, we've been going through the proposal they submitted, and there was a number of meters that they bid on, and the other day they came back with much more than what was on the proposal, and I told them that we weren't going to pay for those other meters, that they need, because they send them down. I said, you need to take them back, because that's not on the proposal.
And if we go to round 2, we just need to have our council write a nice little letter and state what that is, highlighted, and
Well, we may eventually need those meters, say, I would venture to say probably in another year, with the subdivisions that are going up at the Laguna Vista, and also the one that's proposed here at Laguna Heights. But at this point, that's not in the plan, and I've already told them that.
yeah, we don't need to be purchasing those for, right now, I don't think, but that's another subject. Okay. Let's keep going.
Next item is the elevator storage tanks. And we have 20,000 set aside funding for elevator storage repairs, which just minor repairs, some ladders and stuff that we can do in-house. Next item is Salvage Island water valve replacement, which we have 13,000 set aside, and it's funded, which will probably require a little bit more money than that over the next few years. And
Yes. This is just to replace something valve primarily on the island. What you may know, whenever we have a break south of House Street, McDonald's, south, we have to pretty much shut down the whole island to do the repairs on the larger ones. Just because the valves are so old, they don't work, they're locked up. So, yeah, that's the proposal, and I believe it's for $5, more or less. That's the proposal.
Yeah,
When we get that out, we should be good.
well, one of the main projects for like a future year that we're talking about is building a second line, like a bypass line, to go what, more or less from Boardwalk to the Causeway?
Yes, yes.
And that would give us an alternate route. If something goes down, we'd still be able to serve the area.
How often do things go down that we're turning it all off every year?
Well, Texas Week,
Once
it
a year?
happened 2 weeks
Three
ago.
times this year, that's fine.
3
Yep.
times,
3 times.
including Texas Week?
Last year, yes, sir.
Well, it actually wasn't as bad as it could have been or should have been,
No.
or was projected to be better, but that's not.
And we lucked out because the guys knocked it out within a couple of hours once we got it going.
It was
Instead of, we've been out there till 7
towards the
o'clock in the
beginning of the
morning
week, right? So that wasn't.
doing the repairs, but
What happened 2 weeks later?
we got blessed, so we were good. But definitely need to be looked at.
Definitely.
I think something that we need to include in here that we haven't, and considering what happened on Gulf Boulevard this past week, is an examination and an estimation of some costs in repairing some of those manholes. And that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And
We've looked at
we
all
were
those
told, I
manholes.
was told, you know, it happened like one block up just 1 year ago. And if you had a bunch of those manholes of the same quality installed at the same time, you may be seeing a recurring thing. And, you know, if that thing were to happen in the summertime like we talked, and car could have easily gone in.
I think we did some repairs 4 years ago with that epoxy coating,
Yeah, we did the whole project here in Porterville.
but not South Padre, right? So we need to
So-
go there on the,
There are
on the-
fiberglass manholes,
right.
and it's kind of hard to.
What-
determine
what we
the
do with-
weakness of the component.
What we have done is, we need to go back to South Padre on the deep ones, like 12, 14-foot deep
It's
manholes.
all golf boulevard.
Yeah, all Gulf Boulevard. What we need to do is that concrete insulation and then the epoxy coating on the outside, inside the manhole. We've done that before, right? Here in Port Isabel and Laguna Vista,
Yeah.
the old, and it kind of gives it like another 10, 15-year lifespan on the manhole, or longer, but
The cement and the epoxy really works more on the
brick, the
brick
old brick.
manholes, yeah.
Okay.
That's what we really also on Porterville.
What's your thoughts on that issue? Is there any really old manholes on Gulf Boulevard that we should be very concerned about this happening again, or?
They're all the same age.
Yeah, I mean, the line was built, what, around 84, mid-80s, somewhere in there?
Right.
And it's deep, and it gets a lot of sand and, you know,
And the water table
elements.
is high, so I mean, you got
Yeah.
a tremendous amount of hydraulic pressure on the outside.
That's true.
How many
A lot of shifting on the sand.
Oh, there'd be one at every intersection.
Just guess.
How many streets are there? I don't know. There's a lot,
There's
yeah.
one on every corner of the street.
Yeah, the manholes should be every, what, every 400
Both
feet?
sides.
Yeah. The Padre,
300, right?
and then on Laguna.
So it could be 60.
Manholes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the longest run
more than
for,
that.
And what
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
material do
they're-
you say that the manholes are? They're not brick, they're what?
The fiberglass.
yeah, fiberglass is standard now. We're even using composite manhole covers just because of so they don't get corroded.
So what's the solution to extend the life of those or prevent future occurrences of what just occurred?
Well, we're going to put in a
Thicker
liner.
wall. Yeah.
A coating on it, a coating, is that the same or the liner's different?
No, we get going, won't work on it.
The liner's different than the coating, the
Yeah,
concrete?
If you install like a bigger manhole outside what's the inside, inside the manhole, instead of breaking all the oil points and start breaking all the speed and all that.
I agree with Herb. I think we should start thinking outside the box of how we can prevent, you know, because he's right. If that had happened in a heavy traffic time of the year,
Oh, we're lucky
Could've been
we got that
tragic.
one on time.
you guys did a great job, by the way. I wanted to commend you today on your efforts to resolve that situation in a timely manner. And thank you for the communication that occurred and for the work that was done. But moving forward, you know, we need to have some solution-oriented thinking on how we can
Yeah.
be preventive of that
You said
occurring
the one
again.
last summer,
Proactively.
Gotta keep
I
it
think you said one last summer, by the time you had uncovered it, all that was left was an asphalt layer on top of a big hole.
What was that one at? I can't recall now.
What was that big hole? How deep was it?
Well, they're about 12 to 15 feet deep.
15 feet
Yeah,
deep.
yeah, we can-
Yeah, that's,
Is it a brand-new manhole now, or is this repaired? Brand new.
And that, most, the thing that took us longer is the watering. There's a lot of groundwater
mhm.
after the water is,
You got to throw a pump down there and just pump it all
Sure, you
out,
can
let
do
it
that.
dry, and then,
we have to do a bypass.
Well, there's well points, I don't know
What
if
they
you,
normally do
like a
is
bunch of.
install the wall points as pipes all over with one main pipe, and then the pumps from all over the area, like around, pumps all the water. If you don't do
So
that,
low.
once you start digging in the sand, it'll
Low sea level, sure.
collapse. Before you know it, you have a big hole like about this size of the room if you don't do that. And you contain the hole to a small area when you de-water. Yeah, so it helps a lot. That's mostly costly too. De-watering.
back Monday and cover it back up.
How much did those repair cost, you think, more or less? More or less,
More than this, it's 12 to 14,000.
total with the subcontractor, with your subcontractor
Yeah.
you brought in?
Well, the manhole's about 12 to 14,000 now.
Do we have an invoice from GNT?
Not yet.
But all the outside labor?
The manhole itself was 6,000,
Himself,
It's just
just the
fiberglass.
manhole.
Talking
Yeah.
about the total
But the
cost.
total cost,
repair.
they haven't finished, so,
More or
but
less, just give me more or
More,
less.
like I said, more than this, it's 12 to 14,000, just the manhole and all that. And all the
Plus, so we still need to add the paving, we need to, we
So
gotta follow up.
when we look into this, we'll find a way to insulate or a liner through the inside of the manhole where they'll last longer and cost less. You don't have to dig up a hole and do a new repair. So we'll look into that, find some prices on a liner, how to repair the manhole from the inside, make it.
The inside of that manhole's gotta be wet,
Oh, yes, yes.
so I don't know
But
what kind
there's-
of,
Well,
We're gonna what?
the liner that we use, what is that?
Well, you cut the cone from the top of the manhole.
Right.
You just put the smaller one in there. And just
Smaller manhole, like
Yeah.
an inch less?
put some cement around it.
What about-
so they kept running manhole.
so basically put a new one over the old one.
Inside
Inside,
the,
outside.
Inside.
Inside.
so we just gotta get skinnier guys to go down the manhole.
Yeah, well, the fiberglass,
No
you
more
just.
breakfast,
Right,
man.
Yeah.
No more breakfast tacos.
Well, we still do 30-inch openings, so most people can fit.
So it's big enough.
So you have to order
Okay.
the manhole according to the size of it, the existing one?
How much do you think that would cost to just do that from one manhole?
6,000-7,000.
So 6,000-7,000?
6 to 8,000.
Well, that's just the material purchase is what we just paid.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably run 10-12s, like about this, I mean, the difference is doing it on an emergency basis and planning for it, because
That's what I
that,
mean.
you know, that's where you prevent a car falling in a sinkhole or
So if
something,
it
you
was
know?
like $6,000 a manhole, if you did all of them, because you're getting a volume discount, it would be like $600,000 if you had 100 manholes to like make them all safe again.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like our 2011 bond, one of the line items was wastewater improvements, and most of it was just lining all the manholes in Port Isabel. We rehabbed all the pipe in the old part of Laguna Vista,
Uh-huh.
and we just touched on a couple of manholes at the island, because, I guess because mainly they're already fiberglass, so.
Is there any way we can get the island to give us money for stuff like that?
We
Well,
already put up about 80% of our taxes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. They
It's
do
not their
that.
responsibility. I mean, this is a municipal water
well,
district.
I guess that's one thing that, you know, like, for us, like the island or the various towns aren't separate entities. I mean, we're the district, whether you're a customer in the island or Laguna Vista, it's all the same for
Sure,
us.
yeah,
So, you know,
It's not the town's responsibility, it's
Right.
our
just us,
responsibility.
we gotta do it.
It's the liability issue that concerns me most, that it's, since it's been occurring year, and again, if it happened in the summer and something,
Yes.
you know,
well, it's like.
Especially since they've worked on that whole street now too, which makes a difference.
and they know it's a problem.
And they know it's a problem, so, I mean, that's already an issue going forward, is the whole widening of that street and all the stuff that's happened, and anyways,
We definitely need to schedule some inspections.
it's a great idea.
Was this manhole that busted, was it near any work the city had done?
They've redone that whole street,
Yeah, I
Gulf
mean-
Boulevard.
We're gonna have to repair the new road, because it's all, the whole intersection got torn up during this repair.
Not,
It's
Not all.
intersection there and,
Amberjack and Gulf.
That's where it is. How do we know that stuff they do doesn't screw up our stuff? They redo a road and they've got all that weight of their stuff on it. How do we know that's not contributory to it?
It's a valid question.
yeah,
There is no
it-
answer.
It does have a factor to it.
Like, we gotta
because I know
we
the
gotta fix
E5
their road, why don't they have to pay to fix our manhole?
Was it broken at the time is kind
Right.
of, it's a valid question, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a he said, she said, finger pointing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's where you get into real.
That was why I thought, is there a way to negotiate with them, say, hey, we want to fix all the manholes,
Yeah, it's,
because we're a little worried when you guys redid the street, we've never had a problem, you redid the street, a couple manholes went out, so now we want to fix them all for you before it happens again.
yeah, the difference is whether you're in a right-of-way or a dedicated utility easement, like just TxDOT, for example, like Highway 100.
Mm-hmm.
If your utilities inside a TxDOT right-of-way and it's conflicting with some road improvement or drainage improvement, it's your cost to move it. But if you're in an easement and they have to buy that easement to do what they want to do, it's their cost. So it's a matter of having the right with where you're at.
I don't know. I don't know how all those intergovernmental agencies like us and their city, how that all works. But if we're gonna spend a bunch of money and there was some way they had a grant dude who knows, oh yeah, we could maybe get X amount of money to contribute to that. That was my only thinking on it.
Yeah, I mean, in general, the island pays for their fire hydrants. I mean, we don't, the fire hydrants falls on each fire department or each city responsibility, so that's what they cover.
I think we can look into tax bonds for that part, included with
For the manholes?
micro, yeah, refurbish them.
Right.
We'll install a new one like they're saying. Put a new manhole inside the old
List of
one.
money just keeps
Is
on
that
going.
the best way to?
I don't know.
500,000 here, 600,000
Yeah,
there.
that's a lot.
Keeps on going. And the work that needs to be done, the upgrades.
We need to get more people in the area,
Have South Padre to pay for it.
generate more tax money to get them more nicer stuff.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what
Yes
we
and
put
no,
in the
because the
2011
new
bond
drainage exists
for
in
wastewater
stuff,
collection.
and
Was it
that
1.2
stuff is
million,
already-
something like that, or higher? I don't know.
Like
It was
a
1/3
rabbit
of
wheel.
the bond. for
Hamster
2011.
wheel.
We'll
Well,
split.
at least I got 4 more years of it.
I guess it'd be 7 divided by 3. Yeah, we did like 2.4 million in wastewater collection improvements with the system
Yeah,
improvements
you
from
start looking at all
2011.
these numbers, I mean, and then the income coming in.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay, Noe,
Next one is wastewater project, tank replacement at Annie wastewater treatment plant. And that's been funded, 10,687, I believe, they're replacing the whole tank.
Yeah, just ramping up, both. The construction main crew is gonna be doing that.
Then at Porterville wastewater treatment plant, we have the wastewater tank phase 1 improvement. That's funded through the Texas Water Running Board, 1.385. Then we have the buffer zone land purchase, that's also funded with Texas Water Running Board,
Oh,
51,500.
yeah, just one comment on that. I talked to Kevin
closed?
Campbell the other day, and they have 52 of 53 signatures.
I was gonna just ask you,
Which
it's close,
include,
so we're so close.
yeah, that's how close we are. One of them with a frost bank, they need to straighten out their estate to get the authority to sign. But that's the last item that'll close on the land behind the animal shelter and resolve the water rates.
Yeah, they had a lot of, I was talking to the realtor, you know, you got I think the IRS, there were signatures, I mean, just, that's
Yeah.
why it's just so problematic when you try to.
We're talking
deal with
about-
Garcias.
Yeah,
the Garcia family that owns the property right around the wastewater plant. We purchased a few acres around, make it a buffer zone for other entities.
Well,
that, you know, it'll be a buffer zone around it.
Yeah, we restrict
You can't do-
residential. It's so we don't have to do an odor control
Right.
project.
But it's some land that we purchased from the Garcia family. So,
It's
a lot of
requiring
signatures
53
involved.
signatures for a $51,000 transaction?
Yeah, well, it's combined with, because they're also selling 85 acres, because I don't know if you know the Garcias, everything from Laguna Heights, like at the Coolidge Street, basically all this entire tract is one family. It's not divided, so it's 9,000 acres. They've sold, you know, like Walmart, H-E-B, any of those sales are buying off the Garcia property. And so basically, you know, this is kind of the last round to try to pick up 2 acres behind the animal shelter we need at the sewer plant. And then a developer's picking up 85 acres behind Laguna Heights. And then I think they're also in a deal to sell the rest of this 400-some acre tract to Fish and Wildlife behind Laguna Heights. But that's, you know, just...
Which was land grant issued property.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, and well, I don't know, there's a longer story there if we want to dive into it. but-
Maybe later, that's why it's interesting.
Next one is lift station. lift station engineering, funded by the Texas Water Development Board, $585,303. And that's engineering for the rehab and upgrades for next year.
Yeah, the 18 lift stations. The ones we're reviewing proposals.
And for the collection system, we have the flow monitoring program, also funded by the Texas Water Development Board, $110,000.
Yeah, it's just update. It's the size of our lift stations. It's kind of the modeling side of it. It's sort of tied to the model we did in 2012 to get monitoring, like meters actually on the field to calibrate our models and make sure we're sizing our pumps correctly.
And then we jump down to finance and administration. We have a fuel management system, it's unfunded for $42,000. And I believe we're struggling with the current fuel management system with repairs and getting somebody over here from Florida to come in and to work on it. And if I'm not mistaken, they do, previous incidents that happened, they got the guy down here, worked on it, as soon as he left, he had no problem with it. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
We want to replace that fuel management system. And also the code inventory software, also unfunded for $20,000. Elaborate on that, please.
So the inventory right now, these are all the materials that we use, everything from meters to pipes to valves, all that is kept in inventory. That's kept in a separate software system, which is not integrated into the rest of our financial system. So we're asking for a component that is a part of our financial system so that now we have access to it and I can, see all those numbers, what's actually in our inventory right now. All that's done manually in a system that wasn't even designed to be an inventory system. It's actually designed to be a fleet management system, and it's what's keeping all of our inventory right now, so it's just not a good situation.
I guess that ends the 2018 to 2019 capital improvement projects. Just to go over subtotal, we have a total of 5.5 million that are funded and 127,000 that are unfunded. And I'm not mistaken, these are projects that are hoping to get funded before the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On this year that we're looking at, we're on the unfunded part, we're looking at the extra, I guess, 300,000 revenue that's coming in for this coming year. And then looking at pay rate increase, and then this unfunded to go into that utilization of that revenue coming in for this fiscal year. 300,000 extra, right, Mr. Finance?
Yes, that's correct.
Looking at. So, any questions or?
Yeah, do we need the $42,000 fuel management system? Why don't we just buy a new truck?
What's that again?
What's the
I'm
fuel
sorry.
management system?
The fuel management, is where they keep track of all the usage on gasoline and diesel fuel for vehicles. It's a system
It's our gas pump.
Our gas pump where it
So-
keeps track of all departments and who utilizes the gasoline. It records.
It's a computer system,
Yes, it is.
basically?
That's correct.
It's everything from a tank, a fuel tank, fuel pump, and then there's a computer system that, when it's working properly, is supposed to keep track of which vehicles are being fueled and how much is being dispensed. Right now, the problem is that it's not working right. All it's measuring is how much is going through the pump, but there's no tracking, so all that's being done right now. We're depending on manual reports from everybody
Do we
to
need,
fill out
do we need that?
their fuel management system.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yeah, what do we need it for?
Well, we keep track of the units that utilize. There's like 38, 40 units that keeps track of what department is utilizing, what unit is using the gasoline, how much is filling up, and keeps track of monthly records. I guess when you fill up and purchase more diesel, you can compare the usage and the purchase.
It's just for accountability.
To properly allocate the
Yeah, I
expense
guess we're
to the
basically
department.
spending 42 grand a year to make sure dudes aren't driving all over the place in their truck?
No, it's not a year. It's a
not a
one-time
per year
purchase.
One-time purchase for
We do have a
fuel.
maintenance
Okay.
that'll probably run about $4,000 a
So
year.
over 5 years, we're saying, we're spending 10 grand a year to make sure that people just aren't driving around in their truck, is that
No,
right?
no.
No, this is like replacing the fuel
It's a
pump.
measurement of all the gas usage.
Like, don't we just, yeah, but like,
It's a-
we gotta buy gas every month, like for my car, I gotta buy X amount of gas. I don't
Every
need
day,
to, I don't
every
need to
day.
spend $100 to tell me how much gas I bought, cause I have to buy what I have to buy, right? Like,
Right.
I only use what I need,
Right.
Well, we don't pay tax on our fuel, so we have our own fuel station here at the warehouse.
Right.
And that pump is what's broken or the.
like, well, we got all our cars, we fill them up, and then we go drive. What do we gotta be so concerned about spending 10 grand a year to make sure?
Misuse of
Is
the
it-
fuel and gas.
Is that, it's just, we're spending 10 grand to make sure guys don't misuse it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just
When
better
the property
accountability.
affects at what time, which unit, because we have keys assigned to each unit,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much a unit assigned to the person. So when I go, if I go at 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, it should track at what time I went in there, full gas and how much.
We're just holding dudes accountable for not
For gas
stealing
use,
gas,
yeah.
basically.
That, and just so we can track.
To know who's,
By to department.
to know
Right.
who's
Right.
using it.
Department.
But, I mean, each department's only using what they need anyways, unless you get some guy who's joyriding around the island in his dune buggy at
But the
night.
other part is, you can't just go get gas at Stripes because you have to pay taxes. This is a
Right.
non-tax,
So this is just
a
an outlays.
non-tax fueling system, which is, if you pay the tax, is a huge 25% probably
Yeah.
in taxes. So it's kind of a,
It's a self-service.
it's a
that
self-service,
keeps track of all our
but you have to
records.
have it as a municipal entity that you don't pay the taxes on
So
it.
you gotta have, you have to have that to get the
As a
tax.
municipal entity, yes, to be tax exempt.
I just wanna make sure we're getting it, cause we, like you said, to be tax exempt and not just cause we have to babysit people, right? I mean, that's.
No,
no,
not
no,
necessarily
no,
that,
not
it's just to
necessarily.
keep track of the usage in each department, and we have
does all
to,
this go
if
to the
we would
IRS
go
reporting?
purchase
It's,
gasoline,
yeah,
we'd
it's an
have to go back and look at all the
accountability thing. I
statements,
mean,
get all
every
records, and this system
municipality
has the recorded
checks,
information
you know.
already available. If you wanna know how much each department uses in 1 month or in 2 weeks, normally they go out and fill up gasoline twice a month maybe for doing our services here, you know, each department has their own I guess,
But this is a one-time
Yeah.
equipment purchase,
It's
not
a
an
one-time-
annual or
Not
anything.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a one-time new,
Yeah, it's
brand new
just-
purchase equipment.
Anything we needed.
Yeah, you have to have it, I
Yeah.
mean.
yeah,
It's-
we've
it's a
had the
must-have.
system, how long have we had the system?
I knew where you were going.
No, I know where you're going
But
to.
once he said,
Yeah, if you say-
in order to get tax
It's over
exempt.
10
Yeah,
years.
I mean, if you say, hey, yeah, we need it, we need it. I just wanna make sure we're not just a babysitting software, you know what I mean?
Yes,
If
no.
you say, no, it's not, then.
No,
then
to
I-
be able to be, otherwise you can't just go to Stripes and get gas. The water district cannot.
This is the
Well,
only
you
way we
can.
get
There,
tax
there
exempt.
is,
correct.
So
there,
it pays for itself.
the alternative would be a fuel management program where you could, through cooperative purchasing, the way that I did it at the city of South Padre, we had gas cards, and there's a program called the Fuel Man, which basically it's like a credit card, and you have a pre-negotiated rate, and with that card, you
And
can
then
go
there's
fill up
questionable
at a
charges.
gas stage, yes, at a gas station.
Questionable
Put in your fuel card and fill up at a Stripes or, any other gas station, and, all
There is
that.
more leeway for abuse in that system.
Correct.
Mhm.
And we do have a system that we monitor when we have the time. It's hard to keep track of where the vehicles are going. We pay like 3,000 a month, or how much is it that we pay a month on that one? 2,000?
On this one here? It's-
Yeah, our GPS system that we have.
Oh, the GPS, we,
Can't remember the cost on it.
It was on an annual basis, but we're paying about $3,000 a year on the maintenance. And the same thing with this fuel system. And this fuel system, when it's working, it works okay, but here lately, we haven't even been able to get gas out of it. We have to wait 2 or 3 hours because it tells us it's updating, and it's just malfunctioning a lot.
And then we gotta have somebody from Florida come and service it, and then when they leave, it quits working again a week later.
Well, they had hired this
Must have been.
computer tech to come in, and he was there for almost 3 weeks, and he wasn't able to resolve it. So they finally had to get somebody in from Florida to come in and fix it. He fixed it, and it worked for a couple of weeks, and then it went down again. And it's just been
It's an old
problematic
system
for the
that
last 4 or 5 months. It's just,
And so,
I think we've had
the
that system.
GPS cost, what was that?
Oh, the GPS.
the
that's
GPS,
the other one.
that was, I think, around $6,000 for the
It's a
year.
vehicle tracking system.
Yeah,
That's the one
it's a
that,
vehicle tracking system, basically.
But you gotta have that to know where your vehicles are, so you know where truck 19 is if there's a problem. And it also logs where there's an issue at truck 19, something happened, or there's a
Monthly
complaint, or where
reports.
they're registered, or liability. I mean, some of these things are questionable, whether you need them or not, but this is a public entity, so you almost have to have some of the, not almost, you do have to have these things.
Yeah, there's a level of accountability and transparency that we need to have as a governmental entity.
It also records the speed limit on
Yes.
certain times that we've had customer complaints that, hey, this
Yeah, it
this
tells
truck,
you everything. I mean, it
Unit
gives you the whole
26
vehicle
at,
diagnosis.
passed me at a high rate of speed. I was going 75, he must have been going like 90, you know? So we get that report and find out if it was.
So as the new
fact or not,
guy,
so-
we pay considerably less than everybody around us. And we're gonna have a GPS in your truck, so we know how fast you're going, when you're breaking the law, if you're doing your job, where you're at during lunch, and so, I mean, I don't know, that's
Similar to
just
that, yeah.
the new pair of glasses in the room.
Basically.
All right. Okay. Have we always had GPS, or was that something
No,
new?
it's just-
So it doesn't have to exist, it just exists today.
It just,
Okay.
It's fairly new.
And then you were mentioning like the sum of all the unfunded plus something else, you came up with like a $300,000 number, like,
okay, yes, the 300,000 that revenue that hasn't been allocated on our revenue for this coming year, that's why we have the capital improvement plan for this year, 2018-19, in the first 3 pages. And then we go into the other capital improvement plan for the rest of the 5 years. On
Good
the
idea.
next 2 pages, but on this one, we need to allocate that funding for the needs of this year. It'll be
That,
water pump replacement, check valves, and then the ones that are unfunded, we need to fund them. Go ahead, Robert.
just the history and the unfunded liability.
Yeah.
This is an ongoing issue. We have on our retirement system, there is an unfunded liability, and it fluctuates almost annually, depending on the number of individuals you hire. The retirement system that we currently have, what they do is every time we have a new hiree, they extrapolate what he's getting and what he's going to need when he retires, so they look at that for the next 20 years, and so they call this an unfunded liability. We're paying on that on an annual basis, but when I was here back in 2012, it was at $2 million as far as the unfunded liability. Right now, it's still at $2 million because of the number of turnovers that we've had, as I mentioned on that report. But as long as we're paying on it, we're okay. The only problem would be is if the water district just ceased to exist, which is not going to happen. So we had budgeted originally $300,000 to pay on that unfunded liability. We realized that we really don't need to be paying in advance that much money because that is going to continue to exist even after you pay
Paying the
it
money
off.
regardless,
Yes.
whether you pay it, whether you
Right.
pay it in a higher contribution now, or you pay it over a long run.
That's
If all the
correct.
music stopped, it would be the money that would be owed currently, the liability that would be owed to past employees that are retired. It's
Or to
Ponzi
current
scheme is what it
employees
is.
as well.
To
that-
future-
Retirement
yeah,
act. I mean, but that's what it is, if everything stopped. But it won't stop, so it keeps going, so that's why they call it an unfunded liability. So it looks scary and creepy, but it's really not.
Okay.
We
Because
are,
they're
yeah.
paying in and it keeps on
So I
going.
budgeted that 300,000, it was decided by the board that we could better utilize this money into something else.
Okay.
And that's where they came in with giving employees a pay raise and also looking at the capital improvement plan to see what it is we needed that was not funded.
I just want to clarify, we are responsibly funding our plan, okay? We already have a contribution that we're making every time we run a payroll. We're funding that regularly, and that unfunded liability is already calculated into our rate to be paid off over 20 years. So we had said, well, in addition to that, let's go ahead and make a one-time payment of $300,000 just to get ahead. After we got a presentation from TCGRS, she gave us, the representative gave us more information explaining how, it's great if we want to do that. We're totally free to be able to do that if we want to, pay ahead and get that amount down. But she, explained to us that it's really unnecessary because we're just talking about paying future payments for current employees which are not eligible to retire right now. So all we're doing is paying their future payments when they are eligible to retire at the end of their career. That's what we're funding right now. And so we decided that perhaps instead of making that $300,000 payment, we can utilize that money for current needs of the district. And so the board gave us direction to go ahead and look in depth at all the current needs of the district, and that's how this updating of the capital improvement plan came about.
Yes.
And reducing a minimum monthly payment.
Does that make it clearer?
Yes, sir. So, question I have in regards to the last financial statement from last year, the math I did from our revenue to our liabilities, there's like $849 left over. I heard mentioned in the last board meeting that there was a vacuum truck or a pump truck or something at the tune of like $350 that was going to come out of that. So that leaves, I don't know, my math's terrible, but somewhere around $450 left. What happened with those funds? Are they just getting thrown into?
Well, we're still finalizing the audit report to have those final numbers. But yeah, that'll be a discussion of how much money we're going to have available
To fund such needs?
to fund
that are currently
additional
unfunded?
needs. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Plus, if we're talking about a COLA, plus increases in steps, so.
That's right.
That'll be accessible, whatever's left over, obviously.
Yeah. Yes.
Just goes to
We're
reserve.
it's potential. Yes. That money. If we don't allocate it for a specific purpose, it would go towards our reserves.
Which our reserves are somewhere in the ballpark of 13 million?
In the general fund, I think it was like 5 million,
That's
if
right.
I remember
Five-
correctly.
Six.
Mhm.
5 to 6.
All right.
Don't we have more cash than that? Thought we had more cash than 5 million.
Thought we had like 13 in the
Yeah.
bank, but
I think we have 5 million unrestricted.
Unrestricted, yes, we're talking about unrestricted
okay,
funds.
okay.
And the rest is in what?
So we have money that's allocated for different things. I mean,
Emergency fund.
I would have to look at the
We need to
numbers,
bring
but
that- We'll give you the investment report, so that you can give them a copy of that.
Yeah,
The
just-
restricted
Yes.
reserves are about $1 million. It's not a big amount.
Can I just
No.
have that information to look at?
yeah,
Put you on the spot.
we had a agenda item about 2 months ago, or maybe that we talked about that. but I don't remember off the top of my head, so I don't want to misspeak. So I'd rather come back with you and
Okay.
come back to you and give you some better numbers, more accurate numbers.
There's just a lot of different hats and things to juggle, right? In terms of figuring out how much money do we need to make each year as a water district of profit? How much do we need to raise rates on people? How much if we raise somebody's rate, are now they not even making any money? It doesn't make sense as a water district, we're bringing in $500,000, $500,000 a year, but we're making another business, suddenly their profit just went down to close to zero. That's just all the type of stuff I think we've got to think about as a board. Because we
And
just
the water
raised
district is a
rates on
business,
people.
and the
right?
water district is a business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a public business.
Public business, so we have I just think, we have to make sure we're a good, solid business and that we're not screwing up other businesses out there too. So all the different hats we gotta wear and balls we gotta juggle. But yeah, I'd love to
And
understand that better.
But because of our healthy fund balance that we have. and-
It's a
and if
healthy
you-
fund balance.
At this point, it's there. We're able to get
It's so healthy
the,
that we were looking to actually just pay down unfunded liabilities.
well, no, that's based on the rate increase that went up this year. But without that kind of a fund balance, we wouldn't be able to get the loans that we're getting, that we
Bond
need.
rating.
The ratings, our ratings would be really low, and we would have a real difficult time getting loans.
We have an absolute commitment to the public to be financially strong.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I agree.
In the long
And
term,
we do have
projects
some,
that have to be done also.
Gotta get that.
There's a
Break it
lot of
down
variables in
at the
all
same
this. It's not just,
You know, one thing that I hear a lot, and this is sort of an aside, but it also fits in with our overall capital plan is, people love to slam our water, right? Like, nobody's like, oh man, I love our water. And that sort of ticks me off now that I'm on the water board. I want people to know, like, hey, we got good water. That's one of my goals being on the board. Healthy water that I can sort of hang my cap at the end of the day and people are like, hey, yeah, I can drink my water now, or at least I can give it to my dog. One of the two. Right now, I don't even give my dog water out of the tap, right? So it's like,
money fixes
come
that.
on, we gotta try it. Part of what we're doing is I hope that we can fix that.
And the money does fix that.
Yeah, the money does, yeah. We gotta spend the money to make it happen, right?
Well, TCEQ gives us the superior rating.
Yeah.
And,
I've heard that, right? That we got a superior rating. So part of it, I think, is one, we gotta make sure we have really good water, but two, we gotta let people know, like this stuff. We gotta train people's brains a little bit differently.
Did we publish a couple of months ago the superior rating?
Yes, sir.
It's still in the website.
It's on our
We sent
website.
out letters and we also posted it on our website.
We might need,
Mr. Hernan, ¿cuántos saben con usted aparte de water about making coffee?
Oh, we had the Shrimp Fest, we participated in giving out information. One of a couple that came by, an older couple, they say that they can't make coffee with the water in San Antonio because it's awful. And this one's better, so
They can even
you just gotta
feel
come,
the taste
good.
with the coffee when they make the water. If they make the coffee with the water.
I still think we got a ways to go, even though we got a
For public
superior
perception.
rating.
Yeah.
Sort of like sometimes a public school gets a really high rating, but like, that public school still's got a little bit of ways to go. I think we got the same thing. I'm gonna do the mother test, which is when my mother comes down to visit and she gets a glass of water, she says, oh, that's pretty good, then I know we passed the test.
Right, well, do you have RO under your sink, or?
That's right, right out of the sink.
And it does, and fluctuates too, because this morning the water smell, you can smell the
Oh, you
water. I mean,
do.
there's,
That's what I get, right? I turned the water on, that smell. It's like, we'll get to the bottom of it, bit by bit, right? It's tough.
Yeah, it's improvement, every year you see improvement, but
Yeah.
then something else goes down. You gotta
Yeah, I mean,
keep
just when
going,
you
it's
wanna
not-
spend money, a manhole goes out, right? And you gotta spend
Exactly.
14 grand. So, yeah, I know you guys are doing your best.
Are we moving along on the
Yes.
subsequent years?
Yes, we go along, Louis, on the other 5 years. but-
We gotta get Herb out of here. He's been here too long now.
So he put that one separate for this year because, so you can focus on this year's needs. And then the rest is 5 year. altogether. Go for it.
Okay, then we have the 5-year capital improvement plan, and I'm not sure if you want to go through everything here, but for that first 2019, 2020, highlighted some of the line items in yellow that are already funded, and you can't really tell this copy, but there's some in, I think it's like a pinkish color that we want to try to fund through our operating fund. Some of the managers, what we've been discussing is that anything under $5,000 or anything that we can plan to fund through our own budget, we're going to make adjustments and we're going to plan to fund some of them. Because if you can see on page 404, we have the subtotals of funded, and for 2019, we have 1.2 million that's unfunded, and then we have the 3.4, which is mainly the lift station is coming off of that 6111 board loan. So,
Let me ask you this. Currently on the elevated tanks, we fill from the bottom and we take from the bottom, correct?
correct.
Is there any way to modify the tanks where we fill from the top and take from the bottom?
No, the reason being that that's how we pressurize the system. That's why the tanks, you pressurize the system through the pumps that we have, and it fills up, and at the same time, it pressurizes the whole system, not just one tank itself.
Yeah.
Everything at the same time.
No, but what I'm saying, can't you fill the tank from the top?
Yes, you can, but it's not gonna
Yeah,
work.
but
The hydraulics on it is best that you pump through the bottom, so it'll pressurize the whole system at the same time. That's
Yeah.
why the water
Well-
towers are made like they are.
Well, an altitude valve is what regulates, the, like,
Stopping.
your tank level
Yeah,
or,
but you can, it is possible to do that, but it's not,
I'm just
hydraulics.
thinking because you could have old water in the top of the tank.
You can have what?
Old water.
Old water?
Oh, well, I mean,
They
you could,
lower it down to
depending
a
on
certain
how
level.
the water stands inside the tank, but we don't necessarily let it, that's what we monitor. over.
Saturate, yes.
You know,
They-
we keep certain levels to make sure that the water turnover there is kept to a minimum.
Okay.
So, and we'll know right away based on our THM sampling and our tonnage sampling.
So you watch that.
Yeah.
Yes, especially right now in the slower seasons, we don't maintain full tanks, right? So, and we do fill them up every now and then just to make sure that the system doesn't rust from the interior and all that stuff, but we try to keep lower levels or mid levels, should I
Yeah.
say, to make sure that we keep the pressure of the system.
yeah, but letting your tank rise and fall resolves that issue. Versus like, say if you're forced to maintain high pressure and your tank level never drops, that's when you might need to look at a booster pump to flush it out. But we don't have to deal with that here.
Someone's phone underneath the
By the ice chest?
ice chest.
That-
I don't know if you, hey, maybe, Noah, maybe you can talk about Project 2 real quick, the microfiltration unit? Because this, I mean, I guess what we're trying to do is approve a 5-year capital improvement plan, and the major addition we're talking about is adding MF at Water Plant 1 and making that an official project that we want to be pursuing.
Well, I certainly hope we could do it before 21, 22.
Right.
I'd like to see that 2021
Mhm.
overcome.
We're talking about the microfiltration unit and plant rehab?
Right. Like if we want to officially designate it as a project that, we're going to pursue, maybe a bond issue next November, get it moving.
Maybe like a fish fry to pay for that or something?
Yeah, well, the property tax.
Statewide fish fry?
Some chicken plates.
You know that, Jim?
The world's longest fishing pier, fish fry.
Yeah.
The state's longest.
Just keep it going 20 years.
Well, I mean, I think we should move forward on that as Herb is pushing and stress for it, because even if you have the bond issue in November and it passes, you're still 2 years out from funding and construction finalization.
Yep.
And in 2 years, let's say 3 years, that plant of Laguna Vista is going to be easily maxed out.
It'll be 10 years old by then.
Yeah,
Well, I think the next opportunity for a tax bond approval from the voters would be 2020, November of 2020.
No, but we can
19.
run our own election just for the
2019.
Yeah, but the election office will charge us
It doesn't matter.
Well, it wouldn't even-
extra.
Like
November
our election
2019.
was around 20 grand, though in November 2017, 22.
Right. And so you're looking at
So-
2 years after, it's a year after that before you actually get funding. You can't start construction until you have cash in hand or approval, and that's a year and a half, so that's 2021, 2022 before you even get started started in finalization. So, I mean, we have to be, in my opinion, moving that forward and figuring out.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I mean, I think the 5-year CIP basically should identify the shortfalls where we want to consider adding propositions, you know, if there's going to be anything above and beyond microfiltration water plant 1, you know, we got to do another engineer's report that needs to get approved and kind of go through that whole process.
To have all of those ready to go, and either you, and the board has to decide if it doesn't go by bond issue, then it needs to go by revenue bond issue. So the board needs to decide which direction they want to go, if they're committed to this project, and we need to hopefully ask for bond money or be ready to approve revenue bonds. Yes, sir?
If we have to turn on plant 1, there'll be a lot of screaming.
Yeah, yeah.
But it has to happen.
So,
Yeah, our revenue bond money, I mean,
it's tight.
we're,
That's a
yeah,
big
it's
number
already
for
tight.
revenue bond.
So that's why I'm looking at a tax bond if you're going to take on a significant project like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this AF plant, water plant 1 was not put in our current rate study, so that's, you know, that's an entirely new item that, you know, a tax commitment would be a better way to go so we don't impact our rates. But yeah.
But you gotta be prepared for failure of if it does.
You gotta sell it. We didn't
And you gotta
sell
sell.
Do you wanna go through the line items or just
Well, if there's any questions on it, usually a 5-year plan, you have the information available on the very last page, right? You have all the justification sheet for each item.
2019, 2020, the one that's going to be the last year, we have funded items, and then go from 4.5 to 8.9, plus 2 to the next 2 years thereafter. And capital plan from present to 2023, we have a total of 21,110,961 unfunded and 8.9 funded.
And on this type of unfunded, we look at it each year, see what, how to fund it. Am I correct on that, Mr. Eddie?
Do we look at each tax year for budget purposes?
Yes.
Yes, we're only budgeting 1 year at a time.
But I'm saying for the next 5 years, we'll find a way to budget,
Some of these items.
finance these, right? Some only?
We'll do our
Well,
best, yeah, to
Unless we do a tax
to
bond.
budget as many as we can.
Yeah, I mean, our annual capital revenue that we could assign is maybe, what, 700,000, something like that? You know, not 8 million. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's just,
Okay. Any other questions, or did you get to the bottom of?
Yeah, page 4. Some, if there's any other questions regarding CIP for the next 5 years.
It's easy to approve a plan, it's a totally different thing to pay for it, right? Yeah.
That's right.
That's why we approve 1 year only, well, the whole plan, but the payment is yearly, every year.
Any other questions, comments?
I mean, I have a question.
Yes.
And I think it's an action item in Wednesday meeting, so just more for me to get some information around that, and I'm hoping to talk to you more on Monday, but odor elimination with our treatment facilities.
Yes.
Could someone tell me what that looks like today, what that could look like tomorrow?
I think we're gonna update the whole board on Wednesday.
Yeah, I added it to the agenda, or asked for it to be added to the agenda.
yeah, we put on the engineer's report, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it got added.
I can't
Yeah.
remember what number it is, but it should be in there.
Yeah, so we'll start discussion. I mean, we've been having a committee meeting since August or so.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. And so, I mean,
Is
for
it
the most-
odor of plants, though, or odor of water?
Lift station.
It's the sewer side, like it's,
Sewer side.
like we can either, we use like aerosol, we can do chemical treatment, or there's some different stages
Right.
we can start adding. I mean, really, we kind of really were diving into it, what, 2004, 2000, around that time is when we really were piloting a lot of different products, and we found Microsoft was really the best one that was working for us, and we've been using that for the past, ever since.
And on the water side, they use some treatments at the reservoir, at the reservoir level where they, potassium permanganate is taste and odor, it reduces the taste and odor in the water.
We have several different committees, right? So how do the committees, how does information from the committees feed back to the rest of the board? Because
Through public meetings,
just through here.
yeah.
Yeah, they usually make a recommendation to the board.
Who's on our odor committee?
Alex and I and staff.
2 board members, Alex and.
Did y'all assign
Houston?
committees at the last
No,
meeting, or
no.
no, you did not?
No.
Well,
Yeah, December 12th.
Well, we were gonna put you on every committee.
We wanted you to hit all of them.
So you
Yeah,
didn't sign any committees?
No, sir. We
No.
told
Did
them.
did y'all take oth of office?
yes.
You
Yes,
did?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I swore to uphold the Constitution and the law, sir.
Well, your son did too. He was.
just did
My
the
son,
committee
oh, yes.
Yeah, we need, we have an agenda item to.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go back and sign the officers, and then,
Committees.
committees, committee also.
This is it. I had us scheduled till noon, so we're good.
We can just, we can just on topic stay on and discuss. Moving forward,
Army-Navy game until 2.
Herb, have we discussed it at the committee, anything about this odor issue that I'm sure you're aware of over at the end of Whooping Crane?
Yes, it's been discussed, and Charles is gonna come forward, I think, with some recommendations on Wednesday.
Yeah, we made
Okay.
some good progress yesterday out in the field, and so,
Great.
I mean, there'll be a good report
Great.
on the 12th.
Because
It's a big
me and
part.
Herb live on Whooping Crane, and there's like some people with pitchforks heading our way,
Yeah.
so.
Well,
And I'm closer than Herb, so I'm a little closer to that end, so
Well, the only
they're
good
gonna
thing
get
is
to
we've
me
already,
first.
yesterday, we grabbed some equipment out of one person's truck to add some more points to treat, to start doing odor control
So
there.
we're
at the
already
plant.
doing something.
Mhm.
I don't ever smell it, but,
Depends on the
you
wind
know,
blowing.
It's never a good idea to develop more build next to a city.
Well, we also
I
have
guess we shouldn't have gave them the
because the sewer plant can have a healthy, like mossy smell, or it can have a nasty rotten egg smell, but there's always gonna be a smell.
Probably shouldn't have gave the
And-
district the land then if they were going to develop that.
Well, that's the only way it happened.
Well,
The golf course got happen.
yeah, I mean, the only thing is understanding that you're always gonna have that mossy smell at the plant, and that's really not, that's the plant being healthy.
I'll sell the houses anyway.
Yeah.
And speaking of salesmen, there's a lot of comments about we need to sell it, we need to sell this, we need to sell that. I don't know if we have the data to see how many people actually go to the Water District website. I think I've been there once, and I sit on this board now. If that's our only selling point, then we are falling way short, from the salesman sitting at the table. We need to have a point man, we need to consider what that'd look like. And we,
$50,000 a year for a public director is out front and takes note, but then to have a fully committed, it's a job opening, or a position job dedicated, and goes to town meetings and all the council and public and reports and gets out there.
but if that 50,000 position could create revenue to fund all of the things that we're talking about through bonds and all that, I mean, you may want to consider. Other large entities, public entities have it. I think it would be, consideration for this one to have it as well. And it's not just anybody, I mean, you gotta have,
No, it's the right person.
You gotta have the right person.
It's a high-end, specialized, a lot of off time, a lot of meetings, going to a lot of
social
things.
media footprint.
State, grant writing, there's a whole
Yeah.
list of things that you can do if you're gonna get a specialized, focalized person that can do that stuff.
Yeah, we have no social media presence.
At all.
At all.
That does
And
all of that job all
Yeah.
together combined.
And our website gets updated,
How
inconsistently.
many people visit? It's just like, we're not even tapping into.
But the only time you need to sell it is when you're trying to sell the bonds, it's kind of.
But I say if we sell everything else and we change the perception of what we're actually providing, the services we're providing, the quality of water that we're providing, I didn't even know we got an exceptionally rating. And, once again, maybe I'm just ignorant, but I think I represent a large portion of the population of those that just are ignorant, that don't know, that being, they don't know. If we were to inform them adequately of the things that are being done, when they're being done, the members that are working after hours, the manholes that are being fixed immediately, and all the labor, so that when they see a Laguna Madre water truck, they see a symbol of service and hope and servitude and just all that. I think we're relying just on our website, and we're falling way short of adequately representing what we're trying to do here.
That's
But as
correct.
far as water quality, like I said, 2 months ago, it was in the paper, and then every ratepayer got something in their bill. So,
I quit getting a paper 10 years ago.
no, but you get your water bill? You read your water
I get a
bills?
water bill, yeah.
It was in your water bill.
I like a pretty face on the news. That's just me. I mean, this election was won in social media. I don't know why we wouldn't promote the quality of what we provide in social media.
It is a big step to spend 50 grand on something like that, but it's not, doesn't cost us anything to have a Facebook page. And there's a lot of people around here who like to use Facebook. I don't, but Jason tells me what's on Facebook. I need to know. But that would seem like a first step that we wouldn't even have to hire somebody out for, right?
There's no right or wrong answer, I
Yeah.
mean, but there is, who maintains it and the consistency, because the consistency has to be kept up also.
Carlos-
You can't start it and stop it, it's gotta be,
No, I agree.
it's gotta be a moving freight
Why
train.
don't you put
nonstop.
your heads together, Carlos, with the gentlemen and females on staff, and just give us a recommendation, who might maintain a Facebook page for us? If you think that's feasible, you don't have to answer now, but come back and tell us, could somebody start a Facebook page? I would
Consistently
volunteer to
maintain
do
and
it.
update it.
And then could they update it once a day?
Not post something in October and then
Yeah.
something,
Yeah, post something when something
January.
happens.
Give it a current employee
Like you
a
sent us a
little time
text, you
to
could have just put on
maintain.
Facebook, it would have taken 10 more seconds,
No,
right? Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying, I got it, this has been kicked around many times. and I'm
We'll
not
bring
saying-
back something and,
But do it right and give it full throttle momentum.
There is another application, it's Contact, and we do have quite a few people that follow that. And that's when we put out notices on Contact, and we notify them through email.
Constant contact, where we send out emails to
Yes.
people's addresses.
And texting, and the
And
texting,
texting.
Yeah.
text alerts.
Do we do text alerts?
Yes, we do, but on Facebook, if we go that route, just be ready for that as well.
Yeah.
And that's why you gotta have someone responding to that, and people, 2 o'clock in the morning, my effing water's not working, it smells,
It's a good point.
and that's even worse PR.
Yeah.
They're just being provided a service.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's more informational than actually responding.
Feedback.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
No interaction.
We don't need it.
And no interaction page.
Information.
okay, we have a volunteer.
No, go ahead. Kick it around.
Yeah, that works good.
Just for community to know what we're doing. Let's say we have a health fair, look, this is what we're doing in the community. I highly recommend LinkedIn. This is for the professional development. But Facebook, I'm just kind of afraid, all the negative comments and who's gonna be answering to those questions.
And you need to respond to all of that, I mean,
Exactly.
and respond
I feel
right
like
away.
It's a job that is gonna be able to be answered once a day. It's something that is gonna be.
And that's why these large companies or companies have someone that's really on it, gets a response right away. If you're gonna do a good job, that's what it takes.
I
Yeah.
have.
'Cause otherwise you're back to
because
square
it's more
one.
like, it's a
Create more
professional,
I'm not fighting you, I'm just.
No, I understand. I think it's a good discussion.
It's a different approach, it's more professional, LinkedIn will be something better, but it's professional to professional. And it's a good way to share what Laguna Madre is doing for the community and for other business. But, and yes, you can communicate, but Facebook, it's more common for everybody, to have questions, but you gotta be ready, and the person that is gonna be answering questions has to be very professional and think twice how they're gonna react.
And knowledgeable, and.
Very
and-
knowledgeable.
You could have a Facebook page and then actually have a commentary on the website separate from Facebook. That way, whoever you send, you have somebody take care of Facebook pictures, et cetera, information, and then somebody actually answering questions from the website opposed to, answering on Facebook.
Because you don't want people, oh, my water meter was out while they're changing for 2 hours. I have sand and grit in my house now for 3 days, clogged my lines. My
Yeah,
toilet
can
backed
be-
up
can be
and,
very specific.
yes.
Oh, we're welcome to help you. Please call this number. Period.
Exactly.
Just like that. Don't go into details because then the conversation is gonna be.
It goes on.
Never
that
ending. Yeah,
long.
you wanna-
It's never
So,
ending.
very specific. We're here to help you. This is the number to call. Please call us.
But pictures of what goes on behind the scenes and, the faces that are doing the service and the facilities that I've heard are amazing. I'm excited to see them Monday. I just think it could benefit us entirely, especially as we build ourselves up to an election
And what we
that's
do,
gonna cost us
I'm
20
very
grand to
proud
try to get
work with
a bunch of
this
money.
company, what we do, what everybody knows, all the knowledge. People have to know where we are. I completely agree. Every day there's an idea that we consider from everybody that works here. We're trying to bring new things for the employees. It's good that they know what we're doing.
Mhm.
It's
Oh, yeah.
very good, like 100% approval, and we are trying to do things for the community, participate in the community, bring the news out there, and that's a very good way to bring it out there.
Sometimes you get that negative feedback, you think you're doing something great and you put it out there, and then you get the crabby person who says something negative. And then when you can respond to that intelligently and positively,
Exactly,
it
that's
just makes you
why
look that much better. And then that person, everybody else who's reading it sort of is like, oh, look at that grumpy old dude. Like, people know when somebody's a jerk and when they're not a jerk. And so we shouldn't be afraid to put ourselves out there just because there's some curmudgeonly
That's what I
people,
was
right?
saying,
Yeah.
we just need to be prepared and make sure that the person is answering is the right person to
Mhm,
answer. And make,
Oh, yeah.
just be prepared to answer correctly and just take out there the positive and just never
Yeah.
put that image.
I mean, if
Company.
United Airlines can, which is the most atrocious customer service, and they're terrible, if they can manage a Facebook page, we can do it too,
Yeah,
right?
And it's.
We won't kill anybody's pets.
It's gonna take,
And we won't drag you off, we won't drag you through your own water, so.
And from a cost assessment, from the little bit I gathered over here about election 19 versus election 20, election 19 is going to cost us, our experiences, what this election costs, I heard 20 grand reference. So it's going to cost money to put something forward for us to try to get money, right, to maybe in the ballpark of 20. Well, as we build ourselves to that date and that financial investment for that item, we might want to consider this. And you're right, it all takes that special person. If we don't have or find or know who that special person is, well, then all this is a moot point.
I mean, I know a dentist, and he has a Facebook page, and everybody hates the dentist, but he still manages to get, some good reviews now and then, so. That'd be me, you guys.
I was gonna say, I hope that. Or the other dentist I know, Armando.
I don't know if he gets
Thank you, guys.
He
Thanks
gets
for-
good reviews
Thanks
too,
for
go
talking,
on.
thanks for the information, thanks for welcoming us. I really feel welcomed, and I appreciate that. Looking forward to doing 4 years of business with you. Took me a while to say that, but now I truly am.
Does that conclude our workshop for today?
That's it.
Is there anything else we need to
But,
discuss? Capital
bring questions
improvements?
for Wednesday night. If there's any more questions, bring them up, so we can answer.
The dumbest question is the one we never asked.
Agenda is,
I wanted to advise the board that I won't be here for the meeting on Wednesday.
You wanna- okay.
No, the GFOA comes once a year to Texas, and that's next week. And so I have some training. The board had asked us not to go out of state for training, so this is the one time a year that they come to Texas, and so I'm gonna go to take advantage of that in San Antonio. So
Does
I'll
it
be
save us
gone
time to
this week.
to talk about the committees real quick, like who wants to be on what, so we don't have to spend it all on Wednesday?
Alex is not here, so.
Will you be here Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
It takes a few minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long. I think on the committees, it's already fixed up what we talked about. That if you want to be in the same spot that the
Yeah, we had already
previous-
said that's what we were gonna do, but I mean, I'm open to anything.
No need to recreate the wheel and not board, I can take whatever.
I'll serve as chairman, or anyone else is willing to serve as chairman, doesn't matter. I enjoyed serving with the water district, so
Nah, you've been here since,
2002.
okay, so why didn't you get the manholes fixed? How long has Alex been here? How long? Alex has been here since when?
1 year.
1 year, was he, so he was appointed,
Yeah.
and Herb, you were appointed, you've been here 1 year? Okay. Cool, we've got sort of a fresh board,
Yes.
yeah, you're sort of the old man of this crew.
Well, I felt like the bus just ran over me.
Reverse, backed it up.
I mean, yes, we have done, there's a lot of things. This cannot all be, and it's good to see a new board, a new set of glasses, as you said, I like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that are moving, and things can't just change or happen like that also. You know, the water district has limited resources, has limited dollars. I think that overall, we do a very good job. It's easy to say, let's do this, why don't we do that? And there's some reasons why things are done. There's a good reason why we need to change things, and there's a good reason we need to be looking forward to technology. And overall, you know, we have a very dated infrastructure here. We're talking 50 years old core infrastructure. And we're moving forward with that.
That's salty.
In a very corrosive environment, very, very caustic, corrosive environment. Our growth is limited. We're only growing about 1% per year. Our incomes are stagnant here. Our finances are stagnant in this area. I mean, there's a lot of things that make us a very unique area. It's not an excuse, but it doesn't mean we can't overcome also. And there's stigma of, you know, the water district, as you like to say, has a black eye. But, you know, what do you want to change and what do you want to get out there? And there's a lot of people that are only interested in what's going on during those select times, whether it be elections or bond issues. Other than that, in my opinion, 99% of the people don't even think about the water district other than those few crucial moments in time. Everyone else is just taken for granted the availability of what the water does. But as soon as rates or bonds or elections come up, that's the impact of when the water district is important and things are going to change and things are broken and they're giving it a black eye and they're not giving it the respect that it deserves.
Yeah, well, my usual stance is no news is good news. It's all just
So, and overall, the district has some dedicated, loyal employees that have been with this district for a long time, i.e. COLA, step improvements, and want to continue to keep working for this district. And I think we need to remember and respect that, as well as the board and citizens that live here.
Well, we'll lean on your experience, for sure, and all you guys. Who's been here 13 years?
Longer.
Or more? Yeah.
Longer.
No kidding. Okay, good.
I do
That
have the
includes you,
packets
Scott,
for
almost.
the next board meeting up there. Daisy brought them downstairs. So, you want to adjourn?
What did you just say?
Adjourned, meeting workshop adjourned at
That we're done.
10:30.
I'll leave the